Hello and welcome or welcome back to the stream. I am almost literally dying tonight. I am so nauseous. I am so sick. I am dying. Possibly I will die in the next 10 minutes. Who knows? Yeah, just not doing great. Hello, Dango. Yeah, so I had a nap before streaming, and that was probably the worst decision I could have made because I woke up and felt incredibly nauseous. And the only thing I have for nausea is like ondansetron that my doctor gives me to like counteract this like drug that I have to take once a week called methotrexate, which is like a chemotherapy drug that suppresses my immune system. But it's a wafer and I need to have it under my tongue for a while before it works. And I was just like, oh, whatever. I'm just going to stream. I'm just going to push through it, but we'll see how we go. Apparently, Israel is airstriking Iran. So that's, I need to catch up on that. So yeah, woof. Well, what a night, I guess. Let's start off with the spelling bee and then the mini crossword, and then hopefully I'll be slightly more awake. If I have to run away and go to bed, I'm really sorry, but I really am trying my best. I'm just, you know, I'm not well at the best of times, and this flu is knocking me on my ass, so... Oh God. All right, we have to use the letter P and the other letters are N, C, T, A, I, L. All right. Let's go for placate. Oh, there's no E. Damn it. I was like, oh, that's a good word. Yeah, too bad you can't make it. Damn it. Oh, I'm so angry. Fine. We'll go for plant. Clip and clap, front and back. If you're in Australia, you know, you know the old seatbelt thing for, I don't know, they went around schools telling kids to clip, clap, front and back. Put on your seatbelt when you're in the car. Otherwise, you'll go through the windscreen when your parents hit the brakes. They used to like just traumatize, especially in New South Wales. They just used to have these ads from like the RTA that would just like traumatize you into like a not drink driving. They would just have the most like, they would just have the most insane commercials that were like, yeah, they were traumatizing. Capitulate. See, then again, you need the letter fucking E. Why are they doing this to me? Nicotine? No, can't have that either. Plantain like potato. Alright, that's a good one. I only know normal poor people vegetables, so sorry. When people are like, oh, would you like a clementine? I'm like, what the fuck is that? I know an orange and I know a mandarin. Oh, look at, like, they just, I don't know. Some people have some fancy vegetables and fruits, and just, I don't know them. Du, 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 du. Oranges and mandarins, a mutation of clementines. Well, see, I'm only wealthy enough to buy the abominations. I can only buy the mutations. Captain. Oh, I was just about to make capital and it finished the game for me. Oh well. I was starting to get in the zone, and it was like, no, you dumb bitch, you failed. Buddha's hands are clementine. Buddha's hands and clementines are the OG citruses. The rest, lemons, oranges, etc., are all derived. Well, okay, smarty pants. I'm sorry, I don't know the agricultural history of citrus fruits. It's not really something that comes up in my day-to-day life, okay? I'm a scurvy suffering bitch over here, alright? The only vitamin C I have is in my anti-aging regime, okay? Oh my goodness. What a show-off we have over here, Hyperbovian. Probably knows the history of bananas as well. Oh my goodness. You should go like live in Coffs Harbour or something. Live inside the big banana. You can make a house in there. It'll be good for you. Okay, I need to catch up. World War III has possibly just begun. Let's see.
On Iran, US President Donald Trump on his Truth social media platform said, "We remain committed to a diplomatic resolution to the Iran nuclear issue. My entire administration has been directed to negotiate with Iran." Trump continued, they could be a great country, but they first must completely give up hopes of obtaining a nuclear weapon. He ended, "Thank you for your attention to this matter." That was the President of the United States, then Alan Fisher, who joins us live from Washington, D.C. So the President there speaking on Truth.
Can someone Google this for me while I'm streaming? Because I want to watch this. But a while ago, I want to say maybe like 10 years ago, the Americans infected all the Iranian, like they were like, what do you call them? Like the airtight computers where they don't have access to the internet or anything like that. So they can't, airlocked computers, I think they're called, where you can't, like, they don't have access to the internet or whatever, like to keep them completely clean and like impenetrable. But I think one of the employees snuck in like a USB stick to the computers that used to control like the nuclear fission, like machines in Iran. Can somebody find that for me? Because that's really interesting, and I think it's related to, because I think the Americans were trying to really put back the Iranian nuclear capability timeline. They were trying to push it back quite a bit, so they infected all their machinery with a virus. I just can't remember what it was called off the top of my head. I just remember I watched a documentary about it and I was like, holy moly, guys.
Social, is that the very latest that we have from Washington then?
Well, that was a few hours ago. That was several hours when perhaps Donald Trump was aware that the Israelis were going to launch an attack. But as we've heard from a number of officials, the US was not involved and was not assisting in the attack. Donald Trump still believes that there is room for negotiation. Of course, that seems highly unlikely now, given what has happened over the last couple of hours in Tehran. Steve Witkoff, who is, of course, his negotiator with the Iranians, was planning to be in Oman.
Can I just say, as an aside, I would love for Iran to be a stable and safe country for me to visit one day. Have you seen how beautiful it is? Oh my goodness. Iranian women too. They're really, really, really pretty. I really want to go to Iran. It's a shit. Like, it's a shame that it's not, you know, the safest place in the world to visit.
On Sunday for the sixth round of talks. But as I pointed out earlier, 61 days ago, Donald Trump warned the Iranians that they had to come to the table within 60 days and discuss their nuclear program unless they could face military action. And now, 61 days later, that military action has taken place. The United States, through Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, did say that they knew that the Israelis were going to take this action, or were informed that the Israelis were taking this action. As far as they were concerned, it was an action in self-defense. He did not say that they welcomed the operation. He did not say that they supported the operation. He just commented on the fact that it actually happened. Donald Trump has been keen to try and bring peace to various places in the world, but it hasn't worked incredibly well. You'll remember that, of course, during the election, he said that he could have a peace deal in Ukraine within 24 hours. That now seems to be further away than ever. He said he would bring a solution to the ongoing fighting in Gaza, the ongoing Israeli operation in Gaza, and would bring a ceasefire. That hasn't happened. And of course, he was very keen that there could be some sort of new Iranian nuclear deal. And that seems...
Geez, he seems to be taking out a lot of frustration, but nobody's been able to bring peace to the Middle East. Nobody can really tell Russia to, like, go F themselves. It's pretty hard. Like, the reason why the Cold War ended was essentially because Russia poisoned their food bowl when the Chernobyl incident happened. Like, yeah, I mean, oof. It's, yeah, geopolitics, it turns out, are quite complicated things. So sorry there's no magical wand to be waved. That's not how you make porridge.
Further away than ever. Donald Trump perhaps finding that it's easier to make promises about these things than actually deal with the real politic and deliver. It'll be interesting to see what happens at a cabinet meeting that is now planned for Friday morning. Donald Trump will meet with his main national security advisors on what happens next. One of the things that will be a concern to them, of course, is that Israel will expect the United States to help defend if the Iranians take any sort of action. And Donald Trump has...
Do you reckon old Scottish mate was having a few swigs before he started his shift? Because he is slurring like me, but I have problems with my brain. What's your problem? I don't want to, you know, fall back on racial stereotypes, but my best friend is Scottish and she drinks a lot. A lot.
To a degree, painted himself into a corner on this, given that he constantly refers to himself as the most pro-Israeli president that the United States has ever seen. But what is interesting on social media, there are certainly people warning Donald Trump not to get involved in a war that many people see this as Israel's war. And certainly we've heard in the last hour from the senior ranking Democrat on the Armed Forces Committee, who said that this was an alarming decision by the Israelis. It was a reckless escalation and threatens the lives, threatens innocent lives and stability in the Middle East. So he doesn't have blanket support. And so it'll be interesting to see what his next move is, particularly...
Look, Israel gets to have nuclear weapons. Australia, who actually has never attacked anybody in our entire history as a country, we don't have nukes. Israel, who's proven itself to be pretty hostile to literally everybody, even America, they attacked the USS Liberty, and some people, not me, but some people have put forth some pretty compelling evidence that they might have had a hand in something that happened on the 11th of September in 2001. Not me, I'm not saying that. I would never say that. But I have heard people say that Mossad at least knew it was going to happen. So I don't know. I don't think Israel should be the arbiter of who and who can't have nuclear capabilities. Like, Australia should, at least, because being an ally to America puts us in such a perilous situation. Having Pine Gap makes us a target. If anything kicks off in the Asia Pacific, they're going to nuke Alice Springs. They are gonna flatten it. Plus, we have all the radioactive isotopes. Like, we are such a mineral rich country. If anyone should have nuclear weapons, it should be Australia. Look, I don't want anyone to have nuclear weapons. I think inventing the nuke is like splitting the atom was the worst thing humanity ever did. Really, I think, you know, it was the beginning of the end probably for us as civilization, because we will be knocked back to the Stone Age if any type of nuclear conflict kicks off. Like, we're fucking gone, all of us.
Given that Benjamin Netanyahu essentially tied the US to the Israeli action by thanking him so profusely during his short statement.
Okay, let's move from Washington, D.C. to Tehran now. I want to bring back in Hamid Reza Gholamzadeh, who is director of Diplo House, a think tank focused on foreign policy. And thank you very much for staying with us. Just latest reports then coming into us that two leading nuclear scientists.
Hi, Dimpledore. I don't remember if I said hello to you or not. I'm very, very sick. I did see you come in. I thought in my head, hi, Dimpledore, but I don't know if I actually said it out loud. So hello.
Could have been killed in these attacks. What are you hearing then? You are joining us from Tehran, and what has the reaction been there?
So far, we have confirmed reports of martyrdom of IRGC commander General Salami, and also the two scientists, Mr. Tehran and chinwag. As far as
Vivi is the crazy girlfriend starting fights and calling on her boyfriend, the US. Yeah, no, even worse. They're like in a group of like buff boys. There's the one skinny little boy that can't fight, and he goes around mouthing off at everyone and then expects his mates to jump in, and then one day they're just gonna go, oh fucking hell, you started it, mate, you're just gonna have to get punched in the face. But that's a good analogy, Hyperbovian. I do like that. Yeah, the moment America says you're on your own, Israel, like, on your own. Yeah, I think Iran has a lot more military installations than we're even aware of. Like, if they're smart, and I don't think they're stupid, if they're smart, they've probably got stuff that no one knows about, and they've been able to keep, you know, really clandestine. They've been able to like do everything under the radar. Yeah, look, I think Israel, no, sorry, wrong way around. Too many countries that start with I in the conversation. My dyslexia is not happy with this situation. I think Iran is one country that could fucking flatten Israel. Like, if they wanted to, yeah, if they wanted to, they could.
We can say they were not very actively actually active in nuclear activities. Mr. Taranchi was head of a university, and Faridun Abbasi was not in the nuclear program anymore, and we cannot say they were, let's say, we can call it active nuclear scientists who were involved actively in the nuclear program. But
this do though, then, Hamid, to the talks that were planned for this weekend coming. What does this do for the diplomacy that was meant to take place between Iran and the US in terms of securing a deal on Iran's future nuclear policy. Does that mean that those talks are now in jeopardy in your view?
It's clear now that, more than before, it's clear now that the talks were the carrot part of the story, and now the threats and these strikes are the stick part of the story. So with this situation, the talks doesn't mean anything anymore. And I would not expect the negotiations to continue, and I would expect a cancellation of the meetings on Sunday.
Nah, once you throw the first punch, you can't expect somebody to come to the table and have a reasonable discussion with you. Like, Israel is stupid if they think they're not gonna face. Like, this is the thing, like, only fight one fight at once. If you're trying to, like, flatten Gaza, maybe don't attack Iran, because if Iran starts fighting back, like, they could potentially, like, just wipe out the state of Israel.
Because it has no meaning for Iranians to sit at the table with the Americans, who are a staunch supporter of the Israelis, and they have been involved in this.
Jordan was on alert for drones too. Yeah, why anybody would attack Jordan? Like, they're one of the few, like, democratic Islamic countries in the world. They've got incredibly good relations with the West, incredibly good relations. Like, I know the Jordanian royal family is really, really close with the British royal family. They were, like, always hanging out together, going to each other's weddings. It's, like, such a beautiful country too. If you ever get the chance to go to Jordan, 10 out of 10 recommend. Like, I was a massive Indiana Jones fan when I was a kid. Like, I always wanted to be an archaeologist when I grew up. And if you ever get a chance to go to, like, Petra, it's where, like, they filmed, like, the cavern where, like, the Holy Grail is, and The Last Crusade. It's yeah, it's insane. It's really, really cool. 10 out of 10 recommend. Israel is kind of being besieged by Iran and its Arab allies. It started because Hamas is a proxy of Iran. Yeah, look, Hamas has its roots in a few, like, Arab nations, like a lot of instrumental people. Like, I believe Yasser Arafat was Egyptian or born in Egypt or had some familial ties to Egypt. Yeah, there's a lot of networking between those nations, shall we say.
Attack. They cannot distance themselves from the strikes that were carried out this morning. Because they are supporters, they have provided them with the weapons and the bombs, and they will continue to support the Israelis. So when Iran is going to react and respond to the strikes, there is no doubt that the Americans would try to stop the Iranian missiles and would try to defend the Zionist regime. So they are not separate, and it doesn't have any meaning for the Iranians to sit at the table with the supporters of the ones who have just carried out the strikes against Iran, have killed Iranian civilians and have killed Iranian officials. So what is the use of that? Iran just wanted to prove that it is open to diplomatic solutions to ensure the world that Iran is not pursuing a nuclear weapon, and is open to mutual respect discussions to show that it and give guarantees that its nuclear program is peaceful. When the other side does not want to do such a thing, there is no meaning into sitting at the table and discussing with the Americans about guarantees.
Well, Israel's shown over and over and over again that they're not a peaceful nation. They're constantly instigating conflicts. So why do they get to have nuclear weapons? Why did America give them the capabilities to have nuclear weapons? Like, riddle me that. If past behavior is the best indication of future behavior, what, like, does America want something to kick off? Because it would seem like that would be a good way to go about it, you know, if I were a more conspiratorial type person.
And about making the nuclear activities transparent to the whole world. So Iran needs to actually step back and to cancel the negotiations and stop the nuclear deals with the discussions with the Americans, and actually with considering the recent resolution of the Board of Governors of the IAEA, Iran might actually consider.
I'm not entirely sure what's going on in this video. I might just see if I can get an actual overview, because this says it's an in-depth analysis, but it's not real. I just want like a recount of what actually happened today. And that just seems to not really be... I'm not watching Hassan. I don't know why that's there. All right, let's have a look. Al Jazeera English.
Is joining us from Oman. She's there because the Israeli government's banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and the occupied West Bank. Noor, we mentioned before that Iran has apparently responded to the attacks with dozens of armed drones, and I understand that sirens have been heard in Amman, where you are. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, those sirens have not been heard. I would wager to say since the first Gulf War. Very startling to hear the instructions of the Jordanian army asking people to stay away from windows and in their homes. This is of course a Friday, and families usually gather for lunch together for the extended families. But we have also been hearing from the Royal Jordanian Air Force saying that its jets and air defense systems have intercepted several missiles and drones that entered Jordanian airspace Friday morning. This is of course in response to 100 attack drones that are reportedly making their way from Iran to Israel. The Israeli army says that it is intercepting them outside Israeli territory, but we now also are hearing from Jordan saying that they will not allow their airspace to be used by any foreign entity. They will not allow any missiles or drones to cross through their airspace either, and to jeopardize the safety of their citizens. Their military expert estimates had indicated that those drones could be falling in Jordanian territory and potentially posing a risk to the safety of Jordanians. But this is just another indication of just how tense the situation is and how seriously all countries in the region take it. Recall in the past when Israel attacked Iran and when Iran responded, we didn't hear these sirens. There wasn't this kind of panic in the air. But now the Jordanian airspace is closed, the Iraqi airspace.
Well, it's terrifying, and Israel's been allowed to do whatever it wants with its big bully boyfriend backing it, America, just letting Israel mouth off, attack whoever they want, freaking throw themselves down in the middle of the supermarket aisle and scream for toys, and then get them whatever they want. Like, this is... yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you let, like, a bully just act with impunity and enable them to be shitty. It's really unfortunate, and yeah, my heart really goes out to everybody in that region of the world. Absolutely beautiful part of the world, filled with so much history, so many beautiful ruins and ancient civilizations, and it's just, yeah, it's just such a shame. Like, beautiful, friendly people, beautiful food, amazing culture. It's just yeah, it's just really, really, really sad.
Is closed. Ordinary life is really disrupted, and people are waiting to see just how far this deterioration would go. How far will the Iranian response go? Will Israel strike again? And just what is the effect of those 5 waves of airstrikes that Israel has already launched against Iran?
Yeah, we're just getting a confirmation on the news media here, the Jordanian state media, as you say, saying the country's Air Force is intercepting missiles and drones in its airspace. We heard earlier on from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu telling, in a statement, telling the Israeli public what targets they were aiming at, but he was also giving more justification. Just widen it out for us, give us some context about what he's been saying about this.
Yeah. Well, Rob, the Israeli Prime Minister basically told Israelis, ordinary Israelis, they have to prepare for the long haul. The expectation is that this could take as long as 2 weeks, perhaps, that they should.
Or the Cold War managed without it boiling over. Well, there was essentially mutually assured destruction if that kicked off, right? Like, America and Russia would both be gone from the map if that really kicked off, and everybody knew that. People were like hyper aware of that. If you have like parents or grandparents, or I don't know how old people are, but you can ask them about like if they had to do like nuclear weapons drills and stuff like that when they were at school.
Should stay near shelters and safe rooms, because in any case Israel is in a state of emergency. There will be no schools, there will be no universities, no businesses will be open except.
Oh yeah, Hyperbovian. America's funded every despot and like every like dictator and whatever in that region in like the last 100 years. Most terrorist organizations have actually funded, and then they like eventually get out of hand and like they have to go and start a war to take out their own creation. That's all over. That's all over Afghanistan. That's all over the Middle East. Like America's foreign policy is like bonkers. They're absolutely crazy people.
Except if necessary, so perhaps some groceries and so on. Even the hospitals have been ordered to clear the beds of patients who can go home or to other facilities. But Benjamin Netanyahu has also been talking to the world, saying that this was a quote, preemptive strike, that Israel had to do it to protect its national security. He also wanted to paint this as an attack that serves the interests of the United States. He talked about coordination with Washington, about close ties, about Israel defending the civilized world against what he termed as the world.
Israel is not a part of the civilized world. I'm sorry, you are not. You are an evil, 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 evil nation. Disgusting behavior.
Most dangerous country, and saying that Iran was close to nuclear capability. We know that attacking Iran is a point of consensus in Israel. The opposition leaders have welcomed it, have congratulated the army. But we also know that Iran is not a nuclear power yet. It has those facilities. It has IAEA monitors on the ground, and it was engaged in talks with the Trump administration on a way to overcome that persisting impasse and that crisis over its nuclear program. And at this moment, given all of these attacks and the fact that the attacks were not limited to military facilities, they targeted the military brass, the leadership of the Iranian army, the leadership of the nuclear program, the scientists, those responsible for the ballistic missiles as well. It feels a lot bigger. It certainly is being perceived as something far bigger than a preemptive or targeted attack.
No, for now, thank you very much indeed, Norode, talking to us there from Amman. Well,
make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news.
All right, I think Hyperbovian sent me the link. There's a documentary about America infecting all of Iran's. I'm going to do that a lot. Dyslexia does in fact make you sexier, guys. Infecting Iran's machines that they use to run like their nuclear fission sites. they infected all the computers with the virus that like was smuggled in on a hard drive because they were like airlocked computers, obviously. Yeah, so let's have a look-see. I thought it was interesting. I'm struggling tonight. Oh, this isn't a video, it's a link. Okay, that's all right. I can read. If you want to listen to my croaky flu voice, it's very attractive, if I don't say so myself. Oh, Stuxnet, that's what it was called. I had all these weird names going through my head because I was like trying to remember what it was called. It was called, the virus was called Stuxnet. Okay, synopsis. In 2009, the CIA and Mossad launched an operation using the Stuxnet malware to disrupt Iran's nuclear program. The sophisticated virus targeted the centrifuges at the Natanz facility, causing significant delays. However, it spread beyond Iran, led to global cybersecurity concerns, including in India. So, of course, it was the world's two most evil countries, Israel and America, teaming up again. Yay! America, fuck yeah. Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah. I heard that there were some people that, like, didn't watch Team America and didn't realize, like, the commentary it was making about how it's bad that America is the world police. They watched it and they were, like, singing along, being like, yeah, America's the best. And I'm like, are these people serious? But, there's no helping people. There's no helping some people. In June 2009, Tehran was engulfed in protests over the result of a presidential election. Unrelated to the events, but equally consequential, the CIA received approval to initiate a cyber operation against Iran Natanz nuclear facility. This operation involved deploying a sophisticated piece of malware named Stuxnet. What is Stuxnet? Stuxnet, developed through a joint effort between the United Nations and Israel, is considered the world's first digital weapon. The malware targeted Siemens Step 7. Oh, do you remember Siemens? Like when Nokia and stuff were around? Whoa, that's ancient history. That's like some ancient childhood memory I'm trying to unlock. That's insane. I think it's Finnish, is because I think Nokia was from Sweden and Siemens was from Finland. If I'm if I'm remembering correctly, but I'm probably not. Anyway, ADHD, just getting sidetracked all over the place. The malware targeted Siemens Step 7 software, essentially for controlling industrial equipment such as centrifuges used in uranium enrichment at the Natanz facility. How Stuxnet was developed. To deploy Stuxnet, the US created a replica of Iran's nuclear site in Tennessee. Experts studied the centrifuges to identify sabotage methods that would go undetected. The malware was introduced into Iran's air-gapped is the word I was looking for, not airlocked, air-gapped computers facility through an agent using a USB drive. Once inside, Stuxnet used a rootkit to conceal its presence and appeared as legitimate commands through stolen digital certificates. The spread and impact. Despite initial setbacks, a more aggressive version of Stuxnet was developed. It used 4 zero-day exploits and could spread quickly across even air-gapped networks. It reprogrammed the centrifuges to destroy themselves while masking the sabotage as hardware malfunctions. Stuxnet managed to cause about 1,000 centrifuges at Natanz to fail, leading to a temporary halt in Iran's enrichment activity. This delay set back Iran's nuclear ambitions by months or even years. Iran also intensified its investment in cybersecurity and offensive cyber capabilities following the intrusion. What are the global consequences? Aside from its impact in Iran, Stuxnet spread to other countries including India, Indonesia, and Pakistan, affecting industrial systems worldwide. In India, reports indicated that around 80,000 computers, including several critical infrastructure facilities, were infected. To address the vulnerabilities exposed by the attack, India adopted the National Cybersecurity Policy in 2013, focusing on the protection of information infrastructure and preservation of the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information in cyberspace. The following year, the center announced the formation of the National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center to further bolster cybersecurity. Stuxnet, a significant milestone in cyber warfare, demonstrated the potential of digital weapons to cause physical damage. Although it temporarily set back Iran's nuclear program, it also spurred global investments in cybersecurity measures. The ramifications of Stuxnet underscored the increasing importance of cybersecurity in protecting national infrastructure. Wow, what a mouthful. I hope that was not boring to hear. I did my best to not be too dyslexic while reading that. It's a hard life out here, guys. We're struggling. But yeah, so Mossad and America, you know, they've been trying to sabotage Iran's nuclear capabilities, acting like they're not the loose cannons in the world. You know, if a past behavior is an indication of future behavior, we would perhaps probably say that Israel and America are the countries that we should maybe be looking out for. I don't know. Not saying that Iran is like this great peaceful nation, peace-loving nation, but I mean, when you're not, maybe you shouldn't cast stones from your glass houses, hey? Maybe. Do you want to talk about the Islamic Revolution in Iran? Because we can look at that. Was that 1969 or 1979? It's so cold today. It is. I know you're not in Australia, but it's winter in Australia. It's fucking freezing. That's why I'm so sick. What's the temperature? It's not like sub-zero or anything like that. Do you want the temperature in Fahrenheit or in Celsius? Because I only know Celsius. I don't understand how Fahrenheit works. Melbourne. Weather. The thing with Melbourne is, though, it always feels colder than it is because we're right at the bottom of Australia, so we get winds from Antarctica. So the winds are usually feel a lot colder than the air temperature. So like sometimes the temperature might like be 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, but you'll get a wind that's basically like penguin iceberg wind, and it will just chill your bones. Like, so even if like the ambient temperature is like, yeah, not that cold, the winds will be like exceptionally cold. And then, yeah, that's the worst part. Oh, at the moment it's 6, so it's not like too bad. It's 6 degrees Celsius. But like I said, if you go outside and it's windy, which it usually is, Melbourne is a pretty windy place. The winds make it feel like it's like -3, -4. So you got to have like some type of lined jacket or something like that just because of the winds. Like you don't get those winds in like Sydney or Brisbane or like anywhere else. It's just like along the bottom of Australia. It's yeah, it definitely surprised me when I moved here. I was like, holy shit, I do not like that. And then I actually saw a penguin. Sitting on a rock at the beach, and I was like, holy shit, it was so cute. I was so excited. I was in my friend's car and we were driving past and I just yelled, penguin! And they were like, yeah, it's a penguin. And I was like, well, I've just never seen one just chilling on a rock before. Like, pardon me. It wasn't like, it was a type of penguin called a fairy penguin. Hang on, I'll show you what these guys look like. They're not like the penguins that you get in Antarctica. They're not like those penguins. They're like these little baby ones. They're heaps cute. Hang on. Okay, I spelt it wrong. Fine. Please show me pictures. Where are these guys? Oh, they're so cute. Why are they so cute? Ah. Oh, there's a baby one. Can you please let me click on the pictures? Thank you. Oh, I didn't click on Etsy. What the fuck, bro? Oh, that's an Etsy link. It's trying to trick me. Where are the freaking penguins? Here's some penguins. Why is everything out to destroy me? Yes, I'll accept your dumb cookies. Piss off. Anyway, I don't know if you can see them, but those are the penguins. They're like little black and white ones. Yeah, I just saw one yelling, not yelling on a rock. I just saw one chilling out on a rock, and I got really excited. And all my friends that live in Melbourne were like, yeah, it's a penguin. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't see that every day, okay? So, you know. Is this picture gonna open? Can you see that? That's what they look like. They're very cute. Very, very cute. This is what we call beautiful behavior. Very nice. This isn't disgusting behavior. This is beautiful behavior. We like it. We like penguins. Super cute. What video about Persia looks good? Let's go for the one with cartoon drawings because it's on my level. It's in a format
Today,
my small
Iran
brain
is the
can
world's
understand.
only major theocracy. The so-called Islamic Republic is ran on Shia Muslim principles, and the state's most powerful figure is a Muslim cleric, currently the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But until 1979, Iran was a secular monarchy under a ruler called the Shah. So then, what made his political system fail, and why did the people of Iran replace monarchy with religious rule? What was it that caused the Iranian Revolution?
Was it the CIA?
Well, Iran actually experienced 3 different revolutions over the course of its tumultuous 20th century, the first 2 set the stage for the infamous events of 1979. Before that revolution, Iran, known outside of the country as Persia, had been at the center of a succession of empires going back for some 3,000 years. A variety of different imperial dynasties ruled over Iran during that time, though the most important ones, when looking at the modern state, were the Safavids, who brought Shia Islam to Persia, as well as the Qajars, and the final Iranian dynasty, the Pahlavi. Iranians had been Muslim in one way or another for centuries before the Safavids, but Islam has a number of different subdenominations, the largest of which, by far, is Sunni Islam, which the Safavids largely wiped out in Iran. In a distant second place is their favored Shi'ism. To oversimplify considerably, the main dispute between the Sunni and the Shia surrounds the right to lead the Islamic community, with the Shia believing that the grandson of Islam's Prophet Muhammad, Hussein ibn Ali, was wrongly denied that leadership and that only his descendants have the legitimacy to lead the faith. Though the first Safavid Shah was mostly interested in Shi'ism because his rivals, the neighboring Ottoman Empire, were Sunni. That choice saw Persia become one of the few Islamic countries with a Shia majority. And it stayed that way under the Qajar dynasty, which ruled for a long time and did a lot of things, but importantly for our purposes, it stuck to autocracy until the early 20th century, and it allowed Persia to come under the influence of foreign, non-Muslim powers, which, not surprisingly, made both secular and religious Iranians quite unhappy.
Yeah, I get that.
Brings us to the first of our 3 Iranian revolutions, the Constitutional Revolution of 1905. So the most important consequence of the Constitutional Revolution was the creation of the Majlis, or an elected Persian parliament, which actually still exists under the Islamic Republic today. The second most important consequence was that the revolution was messy. No one liked autocracy, but different liberal, conservative, secular, and religious factions of revolutionaries wanted very different futures for Persia. That's going to be a common theme, by the way. The new Majlis was divided and thus weak, so Muhammad Ali Shah, the second to last
it's crazy to just see like the women in Iran. Like obviously there are some like choosing to wear the hijab. And that's fine, like that's their choice. I have friends in Australia that wear the hijab. You know, they started wearing it when they were like 11 or 12, and that's, you know, good for you. That's great. But it is it's always nice to have a choice as a woman.
Qajar Shah struck back with the help of Russia. That made the Qajars even more unpopular. For the next decade and a half, Persia was in a near constant state of chaos. It didn't help that the British and Russian empires had formally split Persia into spheres of influence in 1907, only for World War I to break out less than a decade later. The Persian theatre saw Russians and Brits face off against the Ottomans in northern Persia, despite the fact that the Qajar state was officially neutral. Famine and disease, partly caused and partly exacerbated by the war, killed at least a quarter of the Persian population.
Ooh,
The
jeez.
constitutional revolution, on the whole then, failed. It flirted with democracy, but didn't fundamentally change the system that governed Iran. However, it did discredit the Qajar dynasty completely, and in 1921, a prominent officer in the Imperial Army, Reza Khan, carried out a coup against them. The Majlis would make him the new Shah as Reza Shah Pahlavi in 1925. In spite of the fact that he was formally installed by an elected body,
I thought this video was going to be about the CIA. I just like being able to shit on America. I don't know. Like I actually like some Americans. Like I've met plenty of Americans like in person that I've liked. But when I like say that I don't like America, I only really don't like the American like government and their foreign policy. And I don't like the Americans that like come to other countries and then just talk about how much better America is, or go back at home, we have this and we do that. It's like, all right, then go home. There's the door, dickhead. Off you pop. But if you're not one of those, you're fine. Like, I don't actually hate anyone.
Reza Shah was very much an autocrat, in part because Shia clerics saw democracy or republicanism as a threat to religiosity. However, their insistence on keeping power in a Shah's hand ultimately was not one that served their interests. Reza Shah set out to modernize his country, including by enhancing education, building rail transport, developing Iran's oil reserves, and removing aristocratic elements.
We do like some good infrastructure. We are fans of infrastructure. We like it.
From Persia's bureaucracy and military. Obviously, his support for meritocracy didn't extend to his position as Shah.
Well, of course
In regards
not.
to religion, Reza Shah saw Shiism and Islam generally as
But
foreign
it's a start.
concepts, and emphasized Persia's pre-Islamic history as a key part of Iranian identity. Following in that vein,
Oh, look how cool this is. I want to, there's so many beautiful historical sites in Iran that I just want to go there. I really, really, really hope one day I get the opportunity to go to Iran. I would love it. This shit just, you have no idea how much this type of stuff excites me. Like, you should see me in Turkey just like going around all the ancient cities, looking at all the carvings, looking at all the frescoes, just getting so excited. It's so cool. I definitely like wanted to have like a Lara Croft type of life, but I realized that was only a movie, fortunately, before I started university. So I did not study archaeology. I studied social work instead so I could get a job. But yeah, I would love, if I won the lottery, just study archaeology, do a double of like anthro and archaeology. Oh my goodness. I just want it.
he officially changed the country's English name from the exonym Persia to the traditional Iran. Reza Shah failed to solve the problem of foreign influence in Iran, though, and in 1941, fearing that he might give Germany access to Iran's newly exploited oil reserves, Britain and the Soviet Union, Russia had gone through its own revolution, invaded. Reza Shah was deposed in favor of his son, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, often referred to as just the Shah, as he was the last one. Mohammad Reza was much more willing than Reza Shah to support the westernization of his country. Notably, he helped Britain and the United States carry out a coup against his own government in 1953, after that government, led by a prominent Republican, Mohammad Mossadegh, had coerced him into taking control of Iran's oil industry from the British. Okay, so because of Western help, the Shah...
I'm all for countries, every single country becoming a republic. I don't believe in vassal states. I would ideally want Australia to be a republic one day. That would be nice. I'm all for sovereign nations just serving themselves and their people. Let's go. We like that. We love to see that.
Shah was now effectively in total control of Iran, and with that power, he began our second Iranian revolution, the White Revolution. It kicked off in 1963, and it lasted until the Shah's overthrow in 1979. The revolution consisted of 19 reforms that struck at the very heart of Iranian society and the economy. The Shah essentially took his father's modernization efforts and ramped them up to 11. Among other things, the White Revolution saw millions of peasant families become property owners as the state purchased land from feudal landlords and redistributed it to them. Literacy and health services were built in the countryside, and secular education was mandated for all children. Iran's cities were revitalized with the building of new infrastructure, as well as libraries, parks, and schools, and women's rights were enshrined in law, including the right to vote. Although, to be fair, that right was more symbolic than anything else, given that the Shah was unelected, he did what he wanted, and the Majlis had no real power to stop him. His secret...
Look at this room. Look at, just how intricate all this, mosaic. I don't know what you call it. It's amazing. I love these crowns as well. They're so nice. They kind of almost look like Russian Ushanka.
Police, the Savak, enforced his will across Iran, and anyone who spoke up against the Shah was not in for a good time.
Yeah, that's not
In the early years
great.
of the White Revolution, his power was absolute. The Shah's reforms caused his economy to boom, the material benefits of which placated much of his secular opposition and created a new middle class. That being said, it was also very much the case that a lot of Iran's new wealth ended up in the pocket of the Shah personally, as well as the Western oil companies whose governments backed him. However, as the 1960s became the 70s, Iran's economy, and subsequently Mohammad Reza Shah's appeal, began to take a turn for the worse. And while many Iranians were unhappy with their government, one man quite literally became the face of opposition to the Shah, the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. While wealth may have temporarily pacified some reformists, it did not appeal to the Shia clergy, who, not wrongly, believed that the Shah wanted them sidelined. Khomeini was a politically minded, respected clergyman who was exiled from Iran after inspiring failed protests against the reforms of the White Revolution. In neighboring Iraq, he developed a system of government called the guardianship of the jurist, under which secular governments would be wiped away, and experienced clergy, which funnily enough included himself, would rule on earth
Oh,
until
that's
a descendant
convenient.
of Shi'ism's Hussein ibn Ali revealed himself. It should be noted, though, that while Khomeini's views were to become popular in Iran, not all Shiites, including not all Iranian Shiites, believed that separation of church and state is incompatible with Islam. That being said, despite him being outside the country, Khomeini's ideas began to gain significant traction amongst Iranians, and that, combined with Pahlavi Iran's economic downturn, as it would happen, basically relying on a bunch of oil money isn't the best way to run an economy, saw the country's political stability start to crumble. In response, the Shah, under US pressure, decided to back down, as little as he possibly could. What's important is that a previously outlawed democracy-supporting organization, the Freedom Movement of Iran, was allowed to reorganize. By late 1978, then, the seeds of our third and final revolution, the Islamic Revolution of 1979, were sown. It's commonly referred to as just the Iranian Revolution. The economic...
I've only ever heard it referred to as the Islamic Revolution. I don't know, maybe that's just a difference in the way Australians discuss it. I don't know. But that's the only way I've ever heard it referenced.
Repressed youth of Iran, Democrats, and the Shia community rallying around Khomeini were now ready to openly oppose the Shah. In August, public protests against the operations of the Savak broke out, and the Shah declared martial law. So, in September, more protests erupted in the capital against, well, martial law. The protesters called for the end of the monarchy and the return of Khomeini to Iran. By then, he was operating out of France and had become an internationally noteworthy figure. The revolutionaries clashed, often violently, with the Iranian army, which was actually a fairly well-equipped and trained force due to Western aid. The United States, in particular, had no wish to see an Islamic government take over Iran, and while it did occasionally criticize his tactics, the US most
That guy looks like David Icke.
definitely was on the Shah's side.
Oh,
The
is
same
that
could not
Carter?
be said about the army that it helped build, parts of which abandoned the Shah and joined the revolutionaries in December. Without them, Mohammad Reza Shah, in the face of near-universal public opposition, realized quite rightly that his time was up, and he fled the country for Egypt, never to return.
Oh, off you
Ayatollah
go.
Khomeini arrived triumphant in Iran on February 1st, 1979. But his job was not quite done. The Shah was gone, but Iran adopting the guardianship of the jurist as its new political system was far from a certainty. Most Iranians did, at least nominally, want an Islamic republic, but whether or not they understood and wanted what Khomeini was offering, and what Iran ultimately got, remains a matter of scholarly debate.
All the Persians that I know that like have families have fled Iraq. I would say, sorry, Iran. There I go again. I know the difference between Iran and Iraq. It's one letter difference, and I have dyslexia. Okay. All the Persians that I know that have fled Iran, like, say that shit got pretty oppressive over there. And also, like, there's like a minority of Christians in Iran as well. Well, there were, I think, a lot. I know a Christian Iranian girl whose family fled.
It was a secular provisional government that initially replaced the Shah, one led by a Democrat and a member of the freedom movement of Iran, Mehdi Bazargan. But Khomeini, by using his widespread support with the population, was able to pressure Bazargan's government into doing basically whatever he wanted. So Iran's new constitution would include an elected president and a prime minister, not dissimilar to Western democracies like Germany, France, or Italy. But it would also have another position, one that would be held for life by Khomeini. He became the first supreme leader of Iran, the paramount religious, social, and political authority in the country.
Yeah, that's always scary when they start giving themselves names like that. It's never good. That type of title kind of gives one the willies, one might say.
New supreme leaders were to be chosen by a so-called assembly of experts made up of Shia clerics. While the Majlis would remain, and even be given more power than it had under the Shah, a new Guardian Council, half of the members of which are directly appointed by the supreme leader, was given power to oversee and veto legislation. Over the course of the 20th century, the Iranian
Look at that
people demonstrated
artwork.
themselves
Oh my
to be quite
goodness.
unwilling to put up with oppression. They've now been trialing their Islamic Republic for over 40 years. Whether they will allow it to persist into the decades to come remains to be seen. While Iran's monarchy was toppled, another Middle Eastern
Alright, I'll look at the thing you sent me, Hyperbovian. Thank you for sending me links because I'm not doing great. Alright, let's have a look. 2 weeks in January, America's secret engagement with Khomeini? On the 27th of January 1979, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, founder of Iran's Islamic Republic, the man who called the United States the Great Satan. Wouldn't he have said the Great Shaitan? I don't know. At least that's what they would say in Arabic. Sent a secret message to Washington. From his home in exile outside Paris, the defiant leader of the Iranian Revolution effectively offered the Carter administration a deal. Iranian military leaders listen to you, he said. But the Iranian people follow my orders. If President Jimmy Carter could use his influence on the military If President Jimmy Carter could use his influence on the military to clear the way for his takeover, Khomeini suggested he would claim the nation. Stability could be restored. America's interests and citizens in Iran would be protected. At the time, the Iranian scene was chaotic. Protesters clashed with troops. Shops were closed. Public services suspended. Meanwhile, labor strikes had all but halted the flow of oil, jeopardizing a vital Western interest. Persuaded by Carter, Iran's autocratic ruler Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, known as the Shah, had finally departed on a vacation abroad, leaving behind an unpopular prime minister and a military in disarray. A force of 400,000 men with heavy dependence on American arms and advice. Khomeini feared the nervous military. Its royalist top brass hated him. Even more worrying, they were having daily meetings with a U.S. Air Force general by the name of Robert E. Heuser, whom President Carter had sent on a mysterious mission to Tehran. The Ayatollah was determined to return to Iran after 15 years in exile and make the Shah's vacation permanent, so he made a personal appeal. In a first-person message, Khomeini told the White House not to panic at the prospect of losing a strategic ally of 37 years and assured them that he too would be a friend. Nice work, Khomeini. We love it. We love the treachery. We love to see it. You will see we are not in any particular animosity with the Americans, said Khomeini, pledging his Islamic Republic will be a humanitarian one, which will benefit the cause of peace and tranquility for all mankind. Khomeini's message was part of a trove of weekly declassified US government documents, diplomatic cables, policy memos, meeting records that tell the largely unknown story of America's secret engagement with Khomeini, an enigmatic cleric who would soon inspire Islamic fundamentalism and anti-Americanism worldwide. Well, I don't think he inspired it. I think America inspired anti-American sentiment worldwide. I think just America existing and doing the things that America does. I think that did it. That did it for me, personally. The story is a detailed account of how Khomeini brokered his return to Iran using a tone-deaf deference and amenability towards the US that has never before been revealed. The Ayatollah's message was, in fact, the accumulation of weeks of direct talks between his de facto chief of staff, a representative of the US government in France, a quiet process that helped pave the way for Khomeini's safe return to Iran and rapid rise to power, and decades of high-stakes tension between Iran and America. In the official Iranian narrative of the revolution, Khomeini bravely defied the United States and defeated the Great Satan in its desperate effort to keep the Shah in power. But the documents reveal that Khomeini was far more engaged with the US than either government had admitted. Far from defying America, the Ayatollah courted the Carter administration, sending quiet signals that he wanted a dialogue and then portraying a potential Islamic Republic as amenable to US interests. To this day, former Carter administration officials maintain that Washington, despite being sharply divided over the course of action, stood firm behind the Shah and his government. But the documents show more nuanced US behavior behind the scenes. Only 2 days after the Shah departed Tehran, the US told a Khomeini envoy that they were, in principle, open to the idea of changing the Iranian constitution, effectively abolishing the monarchy, and they gave the Ayatollah a key piece of information. Iranian military leaders were flexible about their political future. What transpired 4 decades ago between America and Khomeini is not just diplomatic history. the US decided to make deals with what it considers pragmatic elements within the Islamic Republic continue to this day. So does the staunchly anti-American legacy that Khomeini left for Iran. I need a sip of water. Tell me if it's boring when I read an article, because I don't know how I come across when I'm reading. I probably come across as a scatterbrained girl who has trouble talking. Message to Kennedy. It wasn't the first time Khomeini had reached out to Washington. In 1963, the Ayatollah was just emerging as a vocal critic of the Shah. In June, he gave a blistering speech, furious that the Shah, pressed hard by the Kennedy administration, had launched a white revolution, a major land reform program, and granted women the vote. Khomeini was arrested immediately. 3 days of violent protests broke out, which the military put down swiftly. A recently declassified CIA document reveals that in November 1963, Khomeini sent a rare message of support to the Kennedy administration while being held under house arrest in Tehran. Excuse me, I've got a cough. It was a few days after a military firing squad executed 2 alleged organizers of the protests, and ahead of a landmark visit by the Soviet head of state to Iran, which played into US fears of Iran tilting towards a friendlier relationship with the USSR. Well, we can't have that, can we? Khomeini wanted the Shah's chief benefactor to understand that he had no quarrel with America. Khomeini explained he was not opposed to American interests in Iran. According to a 1980 CIA analysis titled Islam in Iran, partially released to the public in 2008. To the contrary, an American presence was necessary to counter the Soviet and British influence, Khomeini told the US. The embassy cable containing the full text of Khomeini's message remains classified. Of course it does. We want to know what kind of sus stuff is going on. It's not clear if President Kennedy ever saw the messages. 2 weeks later, he would be assassinated in Texas. A year later, Khomeini was expelled from Iran. He had launched a new attack on the Shah, this time overextending judicial immunity to US military personnel in Iran. The American president should know that he is the most hated person among our nation, Khomeini declared shortly before going into exile. 15 years later, Khomeini would end up in Paris. He was now the leader of a movement on the verge of ridding Iran of its monarchy. So close to victory, the Ayatollah still needed America. Oh my god, what a long article. Should I read the whole thing or do we get the gist? Comment. Comment if you want me to read the whole thing, because I can. But it's she's going for a while, guys. She's a long article. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we got the gist, right? We got the gist. The CIA is always up to their nose and in no good stuff. Oh my goodness. Well, let's see what the ABC have to say.
Good evening. It's a fast-evolving, fragile situation in the Middle East as we go to air tonight. Explosions have been ringing out across Tehran after Israel launched an attack on Iran targeting its nuclear facilities and killing 3 top generals. And in response, retaliation. 100 drones are right now headed towards Israel as the region once again finds itself on the brink.
Tehran lights up as Israel makes its move. Targeting the rogue state's nuclear program, striking what's viewed as the heart of it.
Sorry, but how is Israel not a rogue state? If Iran is a rogue state, Israel is also a rogue state. Keep your hands to yourself, children. And by children, I mean nation states. Keep your hands to yourself. Thank you.
The Natanz nuclear facility in what Israel has called a preemptive strike.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival.
They called it Operation Rising Lion. 200 Air Force jets bombed 100.
A lion is a noble animal, Israel. You can't just go around here besmirching the names of very cute big cats. I will not stand for it. All cats are beautiful and you do not get to use their name in vain like that. Absolutely disgusting behavior.
Targets, buildings destroyed, in their sights, top military leaders and senior nuclear scientists.
We will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons.
Killed in the strikes, the head of the Revolutionary Guard, General Hossein Salami, Iran's supreme leader, survived and is warning
Salami,
Israel to expect
yummy.
severe punishment. 100 drones are on their way. Israel's Iron Dome readied. Tel Aviv's airport shut down. And a state of emergency declared across the country. The US had been warned the attack on Tehran was coming. Earlier this week, President Donald Trump warned off Benjamin Netanyahu.
Well, I'd love to avoid the conflict.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio says tonight Israel took unilateral action. We are not involved in strikes against Iran. Iran should not target US interests or personnel. Only hours earlier, President Trump had still been pushing for a deal to restrict Iran's nuclear program.
Iran's going to have to negotiate a little bit tougher, meaning they're going to have to give us some things that they're not willing to give us right now.
In the coming hours, the president will...
No, I don't think you're the one with the negotiating power here, Donald. Like, simmer down, mate. You just stop telling fucking people what to do. Everyone's had enough. Shut up. The Lion of Judah is Israel, 100%. The Lion of Judah is Jesus. So Israel has, yeah, I misspoke, but yeah, the Lion of Judah is Jesus. So, yeah. But, you know, if you see what the Talmud says about Jesus and the Virgin Mary, you can see what a certain subsect of people think about Christians is actually incredibly offensive. If you ever find those passages in the Talmud, yeah, that's like, how do you explain it? Obviously, like, you have the Torah as like a main religious book, but then there's like these supplementary texts called the Talmud, and you know, they're more like contemporaneous, I guess. So they have, you know, things that have happened since the stories of the Old Testament. And yeah, I believe it said that Jesus is like a black magician who practices black magic, and it says that the Virgin Mary is boiling in excrement for the rest of eternity, or something to that effect. Let me find it actually, just so you know. But yeah, it is a little bit on the nose for Israel to be doing that, I would say. Is that how you spell it? Talmud, Jesus, and Mary. Yeah, the Babylonian Talmud also mentions Jesus' punishment in hell, described as lying in boiling excrement. The passage has been interpreted as reflecting a specific theological and historical context. Doesn't really matter. The Talmud discusses Jesus in the context of Sanhedrin 43a, where he is depicted as a sorcerer who led astray and was executed by stoning and hanging on the eve of Passover. What does it say? I believe it says that about the Virgin Mary as well. I'm not making any statements one way or the other. I'm just saying this is what a holy text says. I'm not, saying anything anti-Semitic or anything like that. This is just what a particular religious Jewish text says about Jesus Christ and the Virgin Mary. I just don't think many people are aware of that, especially I know a lot of like the evangelical Christians in America who I don't think have ever read a Bible or have the comprehension skills to understand a Bible. I actually am Christian, and I've read the Bible many times, back to front. Do you think they named it the Rising Lion to go the USA? Yeah, I 100% think they did to try and get the evangelical Christians on side. That would make a lot of sense, actually. Apparently, there's a Bible that was sold very widely in America that kind of has a lot of footnotes that really misinterpret a lot of the Christian text, and this is why Americans are so confused about, like, Christians aren't supposed to be Zionists. That's nowhere in the Bible. But there was this Schofield Bible that went around, and that's why Americans have so much scripture and things backwards and don't really understand what the Bible is trying to say. Don't know if Schofield is a German man or somebody with a German sounding name. Don't Schofield Bible origins. Yeah, so this is the one. This is the Bible where lots of Americans don't understand what the Bible is telling them, and they somehow think that the Bible is a pro-Zionist book. It's not. It's not. Christianity is not a Zionist religion. If you're a Christian and you support the state of Israel, I don't know, go read your Bible again, darling. Because my religion tells me to respect all life and that all life is sacred. The Schofield reference Bible was a popular annotated, so this Bible has like annotations all throughout the Bible telling lay people what the verses in the Bible mean, but they're not at all accurate. Like, this person just made it as a propaganda piece, essentially. Schofield's Bible significantly influenced fundamentalist Christianity, particularly in the United States, helping shape their understanding of the Bible and its prophetic elements. Yep. And that, my friends, is where Americans' ass-backwards interpretation of Christianity comes from. Yeah, it's an abomination, and it's not true Christianity, and you need, like, yuck. Just gross.
Will bring together his National Security Council.
We're going to see a significant escalation in the Middle East, and I hope that the U.S. military forces are prepared for that.
The next move, and whoever makes it, is critical for the future of the region, which has once again found itself on the brink of all-out conflict. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Well, live now to Nine's political editor Charles Croucher, who's in Fiji with the Prime Minister before he travels to a meeting of world leaders. Charles, the potential of a new Middle East conflict could overshadow talks.
Yeah, Mark, this was already a complex trip. The leaders of the world's most powerful democracies will be gathering in Canada at a time.
Rub-a-dub Dad, being a Sydney boy, what do you think about Hillsong? Are those weirdos still going? Let me know. Those people are on crack. Absolute crackheads. Freaking. I love people that are from the northwestern suburbs of Sydney. I say that with I don't even know. But if you accidentally say that they're from Western Sydney, they will arc up. They will arc up and be like, I am not from Western Sydney. I'm from the Northwest. I'm like, all right, calm down. Go back to freaking Castle Hill or wherever the fuck, mate. No one cares.
Time of great uncertainty when it comes.
Yeah, I'm Catholic. I am a Catholic girl. I go to mass like 3 times a year, but you know, I'm a believer. I'm just not Castle Hill is just cashed up bogans. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you. My sentiments exactly. And they all go to Macquarie Uni because like they can't get into Sydney Uni and UNSW. Eat shit, losers. Eat shit. Thank you.
Comes to trade and tariffs and great worry about the war in Ukraine. For Anthony Albanese, you throw in a first face-to-face with Donald Trump at a time when America is reviewing our exports and the AUKUS nuclear submarine pact. But tonight, the eyes of the world are on the Middle East, and those leaders around the G7 table are trying to broker some kind of solution to a rapidly changing situation in the most volatile part of the world. Mark.
Charles Croucher in Fiji, thank you. It's an aviation disaster that's left nearly 300 people dead, but with one scarcely believable tale of survival. That's the story of Air India Flight 171. It crashed down in a ball of flames in Ahmedabad, in India's west, just seconds after taking off, bound for London. Tonight, questions, and plenty of them, including what caused this aviation catastrophe and how on earth did one man simply walk from the wreckage?
It's hard to believe. The man in the white t-shirt.
What is going on at Boeing? And did you notice when all those whistleblowers like came out about all the sus stuff that was going on at Boeing? They all just, you know, coincidentally just happened to delete themselves accidentally with the gunshots to the back of the head accidentally. Very interesting. I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm already like a little bit scared every time I hop on a plane, and like I fly kind of semi often because I don't want to drive from Melbourne to Sydney because I'm a baby and I have, you know, I have a lot of pain in my body, and if I sit in a car for like 10 hours, I will literally die. So I always fly up. But now I'm always worried. I'm like, oh God, does this plane have like a Boeing engine? Am I gonna die? Stuff to think about.
Seated in 11A, walking away from a crash which killed everyone else on board.
Holy shit, buy a lottery ticket.
Doomed from the beginning, taking off from Ahmedabad, bound for London's Gatwick Airport. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner struggled.
Oh, that's the shit airport where you have to like, it takes ages to actually get to London from there. I flew into there once because I was like, oh, Gatwick's cheap. I'll go there. And it's like, no, mate. The people that picked me up were just like having a cry because they had to pick me up from Gatwick. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. You think the guy that survived is still catatonic? Well, you would be in shock for sure. Fucking hell. Like, that's nuts. He would be in hospital for like a while. Yeah, you're not blaming him. No, you're not blaming him. But I'm just saying, like, imagine you're just sitting on a plane, just, you know, chilling out. and it just erupts into fire around you and everyone's dead and you get pulled from the wreckage and you're just like, what the fuck just happened? Absolutely insanity. Oh, I'm in my own algorithm. That's so cool. What's Greta doing? Anything interesting? No, no one knows. An Australian would 100% say that to their mate that just got out of that was the sole survivor of a plane crash. They'd be like, it's just a plane crash, you fucking pussy. Get up, eat some concrete. Go on. Greta Thunberg got deported. They chucked her on a plane and sent her back to Sweden, apparently. Oh no, a love rat has been exposed on 60 Minutes. I love 60 Minutes and like a current affair and like Today Tonight's like a love rat / sex pest exposés. I'm so proud to be Australian sometimes. We are insane people. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. Oh, we looked at Jared Leto last night. Anyone got any suggestions? Because I'm half asleep. I don't even know what is happening today. Oh, pardon me. I was like, oh, that girl's kind of hot. And then I realized it was a documentary about the SS. And I'm like, nope. Scrolling back up. Away from that. Oh, I already covered... No, I covered Hassan last night, right? His letter from Homeland Security. Oh, apparently Australia, we are alarmed. We are alarmed by Israeli attack. Let's see what old mate Albo has to say. Oh.
A colourful welcome overshadowed by global turmoil. The Prime Minister was winging his way here to Fiji when Israel struck Iran. Anthony Albanese has told reporters the government is upgrading travel advice to the region.
We, of course, are very conscious of the threat that Iran
shirt,
a
mate.
nuclear state would represent to peace and security in the region as well. We want to see these issues resolved through.
You don't know why we are alarmed. They've been doing this shit for nearly 2 years at this point. Yeah, but the thing is, I think Israel's trying to goad. They've been trying to goad America into taking out Iran for them for like the last 20 years, really. 24 years they've been trying to goad America into taking out Iran. And Albo knows he's going to be asked to be a part of the freaking coalition of the fuckwits and fucking send Australian troops over to that region as well. And it's just, yeah. That seems to be what happens. Australia always ends up in fucking Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever the fuck else. Like,
dialogue.
For days, Australian officials have been on edge about the prospect of a renewed conflict in the Middle East. Foreign Minister Penny Wong has revealed she met with Israel's ambassador yesterday and urged both parties to prioritise dialogue and diplomacy. That call went unheeded.
Australia is alarmed by the escalation between Israel and Iran. But this risks further destabilising a region that is already volatile.
While the world waits to see how Iran responds, the Prime Minister is pushing ahead with his trip to Canada for the G7 summit. It's there that Anthony Albanese is hoping to have his first face-to-face meeting with Donald Trump to urge the US president to stay the course on the AUKUS submarine pact. But with the White House now preoccupied with the prospect of all-out war in the Middle East, the US president's attendance at the summit now seems less likely than it did this morning.
Well. Fiji is finally in the news and that happens. I'm sorry, Hyperbovian. Your people finally were in the news. Oof. Why is every time I see an Australian headline, it's about some nonce? Freaking hell. I laugh only because it's so disturbing. Not because I think it's funny. What is going on in my algorithm? Oh, let's learn about Elon Musk's dad. That's funny. Let's go. Gossip. Oh yeah, he had an emerald mine. That's why there's emeralds. See, I get it. I get the references.
When I say Musk, what comes to mind?
Musk sticks. Pink Musk sticks. Does anyone like Musk sticks? Comment down below.
Smell, or maybe this guy. As
no, the
all
lollies.
attempt to understand how the absolute state of this man came to be, we might find some answers within his...
What's that link? Let me see. It better not be Pornhub. What's wrong with America? A lot. What's the headline? Can you load, please? What's wrong with American aviation? I'm gonna go with an awful lot. They do remind you of your grandparents? Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely old people lollies for sure. Do we want to watch? Is this about Boeing? I assume it would be, right? Well, let's watch the thing about Elon's sociopathic dad. I mean, it must run in the family, right? And then, look, I will never forgive Elon Musk for what he did to Grimes. No. Yuck. Disgusting behavior.
His family, particularly his father, Errol. He's a self-proclaimed genius, a smooth-talking opportunist who may or may not have owned an...
I don't know a quote-unquote genius who isn't self-proclaimed. I'm just going to put that out there. Do with that information what you will.
An emerald mine in Zambia, and a total freak who had children with his own stepdaughter.
Oh, geez.
Despite this, he's still somewhat of a mysterious figure in a lot of ways, and his relationship with his son remains strained, or not, depending when you ask and who you ask. The pair are either extremely close or totally hate each other. Behind Errol's charm and various business ventures lies a history full of disturbing relationships, morally compromising decisions, and accusations that paint a picture of a man driven more by self-interest than principle. Remind you of anyone? Errol was born in Pretoria, South Africa in 1946.
South
His British
Africa.
mother was known for her intelligence, and his father was a sergeant in the South African military. By his early 30s, he was already a millionaire, working on large-scale industrial projects and building a reputation as a skilled problem solver. It was during
What do we think about the Kiwi accent? Do we love it or hate it? I love it. I love it so much.
that time that he met model and dietitian May Haldeman, his future ex-wife.
His future
later
ex-wife.
recounted how Errol relentlessly pursued her, proposing repeatedly until she finally said yes. A persistence eerily reminiscent of Elon's own approach to his earlier relationships, but these
Yeah, Elon Musk did that with the first woman that he married, Justine. He just like kept on stalking her at uni until she eventually somehow thought it was cute and went out with him. Romance, guys, romance.
days he just knocks them up and fucks off. May and Errol married in the 70s, and in 1971, their first child, Elon Musk, was born, followed by 2 more children, Kimball and Tosca. In the 1970s and 80s, Errol was busy with business and politics, joining and then leaving the Progressive Federal Party, who were known for advocating power sharing in South Africa through a federal constitution. But wait, what about the Emerald Mine? When was that? Ah yes, the infamous Emerald Mine story, a tale that just won't die. Did Elon's father really own an emerald mine in Zambia? According to Errol Musk, sometime back in the day, he made a classic rich guy power move and traded his plane for a stake in a rough and ready emerald mine in Zambia. Not like a glittering gem empire, mind you, more like a dusty setup where locals would show up with emeralds and walk away with just enough cash to feed their families for a month. The whole thing, Errol says, was based on a handshake deal with some Italian guy running the local airstrip. His vibe on this is like, I'm not a regular white precious gem mine owner. I'm a chill precious gem mine owner. Errol claims he made so much cash from the mine that his safe literally wouldn't shut. He's also said that some of that gemstone money helped bankroll Elon's big move from South Africa to North America, covering his education.
I can smell these pictures. Like, I can smell smegma and like... I can smell him. I can smell him from here. I can smell him through time and space. Oh God.
And living costs along the way. But Elon, not having it. He consistently calls the emerald mine tale false and annoying, insisting he made his own way with about $2,000 in his pocket and 6 figures of student debt. Elon has painted the whole thing as a persistent myth meant to downplay his hard work. To make things extra confusing, there was an old interview where Elon apparently mentioned the mine and said he tried to visit it at 15, but the trip fell apart thanks to some rookie move involving an expired passport that belonged to his brother or something like that. But Errol doubles down. He produced photos of emeralds he say came from the mine, and he insisted that Elon knows all about it. According to Errol, Elon just doesn't want to be seen as a trust fund kid. Critics point out that if the mine stuff is true, it smells a little bit like old school colonial plundering, a la Cecil Rhodes, you know. But Errol's response, well, he said, half of my colleagues were killed. All of my colleagues got malaria, yellow fever, black water fever, and more. One was eaten by a crocodile.
Hate that when that happens.
Western wimps of today able to understand all this? I doubt it. To date, no actual mine has been found, no paperwork has surfaced up, and not a single one of Elon's companies will touch the story with a 10-foot pole. So like, I don't know, who knows? Who's covering up what? Or not covering anything at all? I don't know. But possible emeralds and apartheid stuff aside, it's Errol's relationships that are the most weird and like, oh my God, this guy is so cooked. Oh, Errol.
Yeah, what's with that family and spreading their old man spoof everywhere? Like, they obviously both make highly autistic children, and they're just there with their old man sperm knocking everybody up. Or like, I don't even think women want to let Elon Musk put their doodles anywhere near them. They're just like, he has to impregnate people via IVF because they're like, they'll just take some of his old man sperm because like child support payment from a billionaire. Like, I get it. Get that bag, girls, if you're willing to do that. I would not want to bring up Elon Musk's children. There's going to be some type of like Children of the Corn, Village of the Damned thing where like you just wake up in the middle of the night and they're standing in the hallway holding hands, singing nursery rhymes, and then they make you boil your hand in a pot of water. Like, it's going to be a whole thing, guys. Don't do it. Don't let Elon Musk put his old man spoof anywhere near you, girls. Not worth it. Not worth the money. There are other ways to get coin in this world, ladies.
And May divorced in 1979 when Errol cheated on her. Yeah.
What a
this guy
surprise.
cheated on his supermodel wife of 9 years. I wish I was surprised, but I'm not. He once told Business...
It's crazy that Elon Musk had a hot mum. Like, these genes are just so strong that they superseded supermodel.
Insider South Africa. I screwed up the marriage. I was totally responsible and didn't work out too well in the end. My former wife doesn't speak to me. Even when we're together, she won't speak to me. So we haven't spoken to one another for 37 years. She won't speak to me or
well, that's what you get.
We're in the same room.
That's what you get, mate.
Often. In her memoir titled A Woman Makes a Plan, May alleged instances of verbal and physical abuse. Describing Errol as controlling and cruel, she recounted a life of fear and humiliation, recalling one moment in particular where a 5-year-old Elon attempted to stop his father from beating his mother. In 2019, she said, "Everybody I knew called him the pig because he treated me so badly in public." Errol refutes these.
Yeah, why won't my ex-wife talk to me? All I did was beat her and traumatize her for years, and probably created one of the most narcissistic psychopathic millionaires in the history of the world. But hey, that's what childhood, like, exposure to violence does to people. It makes someone like Elon Musk. It makes smegma, the perfume, you know, the person.
Claims, maintaining that he always treated May with respect and care, even going as far as to say this.
She made all that up. You think so? Yeah, she made all that up.
I'm not even gonna comment. Errol also reckons he's important
Errol
enough
is a
that his
dickhead.
claims are an attempt to turn the public against him. Yeah, you're doing that just fine on your own, actually, mate. Following the divorce, Elon chose to live with his father, a decision he would later deeply regret. Errol went on to be briefly married to a woman named Sue, and in the early 1990s, when he was aged 45, he married Heidi Benoisenhout, a 25-year-old he described as one of the best-looking women I've ever seen in my life. Heidi already had children from a previous relationship, including a daughter named Jana, who became Errol's stepdaughter at the age of 4. Go and get a sick bag. So in 2017, this fucking freak made global headlines for his relationship with his own stepdaughter who had his child. Errol recounts how Jana, at 29...
This is some Woody Allen type shit right here, guys. Oh, look. He looks like a reanimated corpse. He looks like he's like a necromancer's prime achievement. Fucking hell.
Reached out to him during a period of severe financial and personal hardship for help. He
It's not worth the money, love.
financial
It's
support,
not.
you know,
Walk
what
away.
you'd expect from your rich father who raised you since the age of 4. Years later, Errol described the relationship as a moment of passion and confessed they had a child together.
No.
In a sensational interview with Mail Online, Errol said he could barely remember Jana's mother Heidi, despite the fact that the couple were married for years and they have 2 children together. In regards to the existence of the child, he also said, "I told my daughter Ali about him because I thought she would be supportive and understanding. She said I was insane, mentally ill. She told the others and they went berserk. They think I'm getting senile and should go into an old age home, not have a life full of fun and a tiny baby."
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. You should be removed from civilized society. You are a sick man. Goodbye, sir. Goodbye.
Bruh.
First of all, ooh. Second of all, why would you be surprised that everyone else in your family, especially your other daughter, aren't being supportive. Fucking freak! It's even more fucked up than you think. Errol Musk and his second wife, Heidi, went on to have 2 daughters together, Alexandra and Asher. Elon and his brother Kimball eventually moved in with Errol and Heidi, where the family made an effort to treat all of the children equally, regardless of whether they were biological or step.
Elon Musk just looks like autism the person. Like, just, I'm sorry, like, he just really does. No, like, I'm not having to go at anyone that has autism. I know a lot of cool people that are on the spectrum, but he is just like the quintessential, like, textbook picture of what people think autism looks like.
Children. So for Elon, the vibe is very much your dad got your sister pregnant. And in a twist that seems to somehow only be surprising to Errol himself, it tore his family apart and caused a massive rift between himself and Elon. And if that wasn't enough, he went on to have a second child with his stepdaughter. And his reasoning for it will make your skin crawl. In an interview with The Sun, he said, "The only thing we are on Earth for is to reproduce." Elon reportedly went berserk.
That's where Elon got it from. Ugh, he's trying to make daddy proud. This family is full of sickos, absolute sickos.
When he learned that his stepsister was having his father's child. Yeah, duh, it's fucking gross and weird. I would go berserk too. Elon has also described his childhood as painful and isolated, and he said his father was largely absent and talked down to him a lot. He told Rolling Stone through tears, "He was such a terrible human being, you have no idea. My dad will have a carefully thought out plan of evil. He will plan evil. Almost every crime you can..."
So then why are you reenacting, like following in your father's footsteps? Like, we know the way you talk about and treat the women in your life. We've all seen it play out in the media. Like, if your dad is such a bad person and it affected you to this degree, why didn't you go get counseling before you perpetuated that cycle? Like, you are rich, you have resources, you can work on yourself, you can be a better human being, but you choose to be a fuckwit. So go with God, my child. Fuck you.
Possibly think of, he has done. Almost every evil thing you could possibly think of, he has done. It's so terrible, you can't believe it. In 2018, it was reported that the two hadn't spoken in over 18 months, but Errol, being an ignorant freak, still didn't seem to understand why anyone would have any sort of problem with him. He said, "I don't know what Elon's anger is caused by. It has been ongoing since we left the USA against his will in 2003. I drove them to school in a convertible Rolls Royce. They had thoroughbred horses to ride and motorbikes at the age of 14. They were spoiled, I suppose. Maybe that's why Elon is acting like a spoiled child now." That comment about 2003 refers to when Elon moved his family to Malibu after he got rich, and Errol and his wife just gapped it in the night at some point, apparently. But more recently, Errol has tried to make it clear that him and Elon are totally fine, even though he made comments about Elon being a bad father, something this fucking freak would know a lot about. But despite that, he says that him and Elon, they've actually always...
You laughing at go with God, fuck you. Well, yeah, Jesus loves you, but everyone else thinks you're a fuckwit, mate. So that's what I mean by that. Jesus loves you, but I don't have to. I think you're a dickhead.
Been on good terms. Okay, I don't think that, but okay. Errol Musk's politics are fucked. I feel like I might not even need to say that. But he isn't your typical Trump supporter. On a podcast, he veered into conspiracy territory, claiming, without irony, that Michelle Obama is transgender and suggested that Joan Rivers was killed for joking about it. He also echoed debunked claims about the 2020 election, alleging that 15 million votes were missing. He speculated that Elon's political shift from supporting Hillary Clinton in 2016 to backing Trump's 2024 campaign with over $250 million was fueled by a post-election snub. According to Errol, Elon was outraged when Biden hosted an EV summit and didn't invite Tesla. Despite the wild claims, Errol says he and Elon remain in contact and added, not so subtly, that his son recently gifted him a Bentley. So what did we learn? It's clear this guy is honestly awful. He's awful. I wanted to say something more intellectual here, but he actually makes me feel like really uncomfortable and uneasy. So does Elon Musk explain Elon Musk? Not entirely, but when you peel back the layers, childhood chaos, disturbing relationships, unchecked egos, casual cruelty, you start to see the blueprint. A man obsessed with control, legacy, and being the smartest guy in the room no matter what the cost.
Spreading his disgusting, smegma-infested, crusty spoof around the world. It's definitely a family trait. The smell is ripe, guys. We can smell it from Australia. It's not good.
Errol isn't just a footnote in Elon's origin story. He's a mirror, cracked, warped, and uncomfortable to look into. And maybe that is the most revealing part of all. Because if you really want to understand Elon Musk, you might need to start with the man he never wants to become, but maybe already has. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, make sure you subscribe. We do 5 videos a week on everything happening all around the world, in the news and on the internet. See you tomorrow.
Bye. Alright, I think this is about Boeing. Thank you for sending me the link, Hyperbovian.
The United States of America. Me and my countrymen absolutely love flying. We fly planes over the top of our most important societal rituals to bless the proceedings. Our most talented artists signal their ascension to the top of the cultural mountaintop by taking to the skies. And of course, our national symbol combines flying with our other favorite pastime, being white. The bald eagle. But over the last few months, my country's long-standing relationship with flying has descended rapidly, with horrible tragedies, repeated communication failures, and various other terrifying things dominating the headlines and our social media feeds. So is American aviation going down in flames? Or will we once again take to the skies like soaring bald eagles, pop megastars, and glorious warplanes buzzing low?
I want to see a wedge-tail eagle just come and like staunch a bald eagle, just like rip it in half, just to sit the symbolism of like an Australian eagle just ripping it apart. That would be cool. Anyway, that's just a side note. That's just a little fantasy of mine. I wouldn't actually want to see that though. That sounds really bloody and gross. But the symbolism of it, I do like.
Over a bunch of jacked up big boys in tights about to concuss themselves in front of an audience of rabid Budweiser Vikings? It's been rough times in American skies lately, and if you haven't heard about it, I will now reenact exactly what it feels like my social media feed has turned into. We had the worst commercial air accident since 2009, killing 67 people. 2 days later, the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA's, nationwide safety notification system went out, causing delays and cancellations. Then the Trump administration started firing FAA employees, including air traffic controllers, before being like, never mind, we will keep the air traffic controllers. Planes caught fire on the runways at Orlando and Denver. A plane bound for Edmonton got a bunny wabbit sucked into its engine, causing it to emit, quote, giant fireballs. A plane aborted its landing after a close call at Chicago's Midway Airport. A DoorDash driver accidentally drove into restricted areas at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. A flight from San Diego.
Wait, these are satire, right? These aren't real. Are these real headlines? Because how did a bunny rabbit get sucked into, like, how does that happen? These sound made up. I don't know.
Got evacuated after a passenger said the person next to him had a bomb. This plane come from Minnesota, got to Toronto, and then flipped over. There was a full radio communications blackout at Denver's Air Traffic Control Tower. There were multiple similar blackouts at Newark's Air Traffic Control Tower, which currently employs only 22 of the 38 controllers that the FAA says it should have working, leading 5 Newark controllers to take trauma leave and 1 Newark controller to do a steamy photo shoot and interview with the Wall Street Journal, where he said he doesn't want to be responsible for killing 400 people. And all of this is happening in the midst of a nationwide shortage of air traffic controllers. only 2 of our 313 air traffic control towers have met the staffing targets set by the FAA. This means 98% of our air traffic control towers are currently understaffed. So basically, 100% of our air traffic control towers are currently understaffed. Now that's all pretty daunting stuff. A systemic crisis in our country's aviation system with profound ramifications not only for American business, but also the safety of American citizens. In fact, the issue was so daunting that I decided to grant the wish of a young transportation enthusiast who's a huge fan of the show and finally let him call in.
First off, congratulations on the beard. How long is that? How long you've been working on that?
Oh, I thought it was gonna be. I love train audits. They're my favorite kinds of audits. The audits that like know the train timetable off by heart and just like, oh, the 3:34 to Newtown is running 3 minutes late, and it's like, oh, thank you for letting me know that. Appreciate it.
This is about 2 months worth now, month and a half maybe.
That's great. I'm going on 14 years here, so it's good to know that.
Keep working on it. This could be your year.
Clearly, he was in the palm of my hand. But it was time to stop beating around the Buttigieg face bush and get back to business.
Are things more bad than they used to be in terms of aviation safety, or do we just now have more coverage of these issues, which makes it seem that way?
So from what I've seen so far, a lot of this is that we're just paying more attention to it. America went years without a fatal airliner crash like the tragedy that happened in Washington earlier this year. It remains the case that flying is dramatically safer than pretty much any other way we know of getting around. That being said, I mean, these issues are real and serious. I mean, you should not have that level of understaffing that we see right now in places like the tower that serves Newark, and we should not see the kind of technology glitches that have happened at Newark, Denver, and a lot of other places.
Thanks, Peter. One thing you may not know about me is that I'm an enormous fan of spam emails. Every morning I put on a pot of coffee, I crack open my
I played for YouTube Premium just so I can get sponsorships in the middle of every single video. Yay. 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 Oh dear God. When will the hurting stop? Okay.
60% off an annual plan. My name is Dan Toomey, and I choose spam. And all the other aviation geeks that I spoke to for this investigation said variations of the same thing. That the recent slew of scary stories is less a reflection of a dangerous system and is actually an illustration of how safe things have been in the 21st century.
Hyperbovian, I thought this was going to be an expose on Boeing freaking murking all of its whistleblowers. I thought this was going to be like a lot more fun. Not like some guy who's like trying to copy The Onion or something. You care about my safety? Well, that's good. At least one of us does. See you, Dan. Have a good night. Happy Friday. All the rest of that stuff. I might watch the new Friendly Geordies video. I think I saw another one come out today. And then after that, I reckon I am going to go to bed because I am rooted. I am sick and the world is annoying me. All right, let's see.
All right, now that the dust has settled, it's time for us to do our post-election review.
Sorry to be autistic myself, but this blazer really annoys me, right? Because the Australian flag has on it what is called the Commonwealth Star, which has 7 points not 5, okay? Because it's got... it's 6 of the points represent the states of the Northern Territory, Queensland, Victoria. So, sorry, Northern Territory is a territory. So one of the points represents the Northern Territory and the ACT. They only get 1 point. And then the other 6 points represent the states. That's what I meant to say. But my point is, why does your jacket have a 5-pointed star in it, sir? That is inaccurate. It's hurting my brain. Maybe I should get assessed for the tisms. Let's see what happens. I'm too scared to find out, honestly.
Never done before, as we are not a political party. But judging from the comments of these two parties post-election of, here's our plan, repeat exactly what we just did. Again. Doesn't look like either of these parties are going to do a proper review, so gladly, here's where you went wrong as foretold by someone who unironically gets sexual pleasure from you failing. The seat of Melbourne.
We all have to get off somehow, you know, whatever. As long as it's legal, go with God.
Political incel, Christ. No wonder my main audience is Reddit. I reckon I'll be on my deathbed and my last thought that I'll have is... Ex OSTC. Yes, we wrote that in the script.
Oh my god, that Max double-barreled surname, dude. Oh my god, what a smug see you in the Northern Territory was that, dude. So punchable. Just want to smack him in his moisturized face. I bet he uses like tretinoin, moisturizer, some vitamin C in the morning. Oh, it was so hard in Canberra because people yell at each other and people say mean words. That's just Friday night, mate. That's just Friday night at the pub. Fucking suck it up, love.
As comes and dies. Let's start with Labor's review because it's the shortest. It really only needs to be 2 words. Flawless victory. All right, 2 more words. Finish him. He lost his own seat. First time that's ever happened to an opposition leader in Australian central politics. Sucked in. That was brutal enough. But by about 8 p.m, you could see so much red in Parliament. It was like that scene in The Shining.
Oh, I hate that movie. I hate that movie. I hate that movie.
Thoroughly drummed out in bed was going to limp over the line.
Oh, Mortal Kombat.
Out goes
Sick.
there. Eat shit, you unimpressive middle management looking. Who else in Australian history can claim that they have 2 chief scalps, and I do emphasise scalps, under their belt? Labor picked up seats in places it hasn't won in decades, like Banks, Bonner, and of course, Petrie. Who could forget where that is? Or any of the aforementioned seats, for that matter. Chris Pine lost his old seat. That hadn't elected a Labor MP since 1969. That's gone. Menzies. I think it's safe to assume that a seat named after the founder of the Liberal Party would be a safe seat for the Liberal Party. Not anymore. Never elected a Labor MP ever until this election. I'd say that he'd be turning in his grave, but I reckon he's too fat to do it. Barara? You know what Barara covers? All those suburbs in Sydney that you drive by. Nice, happy families having a picnic. Everyone's got a golden retriever. Labor should not be winning golden retriever seats. They win staffy seats. And this time, they didn't, but they got fucking close. Look, this child nearly beat this obvious megachurch pastor. This is how fucked the Liberals are. Their safe seats are now marginal seats. Keep in mind, this came after months of the media class telling us over and over with glee in their shitty Leichhardt accents. Well, it looks like Australia's heading for a minority government. Nah, it looks like it's heading for a minority opposition. I'm sorry if you're upset about the result, but surely it is of great solace to everyone in this country that Rachel Withers is so much more upset. This is how wrong they were. The last time there was a victory of this magnitude.
The media class being out of touch with the average Australian, knock me over with a feather. I, for one, am shocked. Cannot believe it. Yeah, these people, they don't know anybody that, like, lives west of, like, I don't know, Leichhardt, I guess.
Attitude for Labor, World War II. The Tories had to arm the Japanese before this country thought, maybe they're just pretending to be patriotic for votes. That's how high stakes it has to be. In fact, It has to be higher. 1996 higher. This is on par with Howard's wipeout. 94 seats apiece. This is why Albanese will go down in history as opposite land Howard. Unless I have anything to do about it, as I personally think he should go down as Chairman Albo. That's right. To commemorate ushering in his glorious workers' paradise, we're selling shirts. May death come swiftly to his few remaining enemies. Why did it happen?
See?
Well, until the review comes out, anyone who says anything...
The Australian flag that Albo had the Commonwealth Star, 7 points. I don't want to be autistic, but, you know, fashion is important, guys. Fashion is life. Let's go.
is just basing it off of vibes, except me, who obviously knows what happened. The defeated parties will say, it's because Dutton tried to do a Trump impression and it sucked. Yes, you cope with it any way you like, Adam. Your tears sustain me. I'm sure that was an element. Hating the other guy is definitely enough to get you over the line, but again, here's the line, and here's where they are. I'm just saying it was a little more than that. Last election was a we hate the other guy election. This election, I think when the day came closer, the public agreed with us instead of the press and whinge merchants, frankly, which was essentially...
Wait, why are we getting them?
Look, fellas, the first female leader of the party.
Never mind, let's just get him! Yeah!
I think the public thought, despite the press vibes, what was so bad about having a stable, highly competent government in power after a decade of... What the fuck even was that? I think it's because Labour reminded the electorate, oh, that's right, you can actually...
Honestly, my brain has just kind of deleted all of those files. It's just gone. It's like, in my brain, it just went, run, Albo. Okay, cool. Julia Gillard, freaking deleted. What? Her hiding behind her, like, femaleness is absolutely disgusting. Like, that woman was such a bad prime minister, especially for women. Like, she literally changed the meaning of the word female in, like, the Gender Discrimination Act. In the Sex Discrimination Act, sorry. My brain is... And she took the single mothers... She cut the single mothers pension. Dude, what is wrong with you? And then you have the temerity to, like, lecture people about misogyny and everything else. Like... Get off your high horse, you ginge minge. Rangers have no souls. Always remember, kids, rangers have no souls.
Spend tax dollars on things that aren't Bronwyn Bishop's helicopter rides. I think they noticed the $10,000 extra dollars in their pockets. The record-breaking renewable revolution getting
I want $10,000. Me.
Future made in Australia. The transfer of hundreds of billions of dollars back to workers with historic closing the loopholes bill, reversing the slow privatisation of Medicare, bringing back Godsky. I'm telling you, for a supposed government that didn't do much, they sure did a lot. I think everyone noticed they did, apart from the chronically online TikTok addicts that have tweeted themselves into a pulpy stew made out of
this girl has like a bachelor's degree from like some third tier Queensland university, which like it's Queensland, so even if it is like a group of 8 university, which I think they've only got one, right? I think it's the University of Queensland. I think, yeah, I literally think there's only one group of 8 uni in Queensland, but hers isn't even from there. And she used to work as like a property analyst, so she literally worked in real estate, but now she's like the Greens pin-up girl. Nobody's left-wing enough for her. If you're not as left-wing as her, you're essentially Hitler. But you were working in one of the most parasitic, evil industries that there are, so don't fucking lecture the rest of us, love. Straighten your hair, put on some makeup, sort yourself out, all right? Just don't make me come to... Oh, she owns 3 houses too. She's like a house hoarding socialist. Apparently she has like a flat in Bondi, which like whatever. I can kind of understand why you would want to live there. I would rather live in like Elizabeth Bay, Potts Point, you know, maybe like Maryland, so I can be close to my friends, you know, that type of thing. But whatever, good for you, do whatever. She's got a house in Byron Bay and she's got a house on the Gold Coast, so she's got probably about like a $5 million property portfolio, and all this girl does is go on reality shows. But she is better than you guys. She is better than you. You better believe it.
Former brain, which, speaking of, the Greens review. And look, to the Green supporters who watch this channel, why? You just like being mad, don't you? And what a coincidence.
They have a humiliation fetish. All of those like super left-wing people, like I am left-wing. I used to be considered far left not that long ago, but now I'm just considered like center left. Okay, whatever, I'll take it. You can all lose your freaking minds. You can all be so open-minded that your brains fall out. Like, that's totally fine. But yeah, all of these people are into weird sex stuff. Like that girl he was just showing, Abby Chatfield. She's like been in all these open relationships. She's always like in all these really weird codependent. She seems to be like, she seems to, how can I put this in? I think she's very like litigious. So let me put this in a way that I am alleging. She appears to have a behavior that is consistent with somebody that would perhaps have a diagnosis of a cluster B personality disorder. She's always like, she falls into like these serious relationships. She falls in love like very hard and very quickly. She had like this very public, like open relationship where her partner just treated her like poo. And I don't even read about this girl. This is just stuff that like I see peripherally as I'm like looking at other stuff, being a gossip bitch. She's in some relationship now with like some guy from like that Peking Duck band. I didn't even know those people were still alive, but like, good for you, love, I guess. But like, it's just like all very public love bombing and stuff. It's that kind of like where you just get really, really serious really, really fast and then it just all fizzles out. She doesn't seem to be able to emote. She's always like crying online. She always has like disproportionate reactions to like you're a public figure. I've only been streaming online for like 4 weeks and I've already had people say really harsh things to me and I'm just like, okay, mate, cool. Like, have fun, I guess. But yeah, she needs to like sick like her little minions onto people that disagree with her. Like she doesn't seem to be able to regulate her big feelings very well. I'm just saying I would perhaps go and see a medical doctor who specializes in mental illness, aka a psychiatrist, and perhaps maybe look at, you know, some DBT, some CBT, some medication. I don't know. You seem to be someone that can dish it out and not take it. The thing is, if you want to go around saying heinous things, or even just espousing opinions, like that's all I do. I just say whatever the fuck's on my little brain. And yeah, people are gonna sling mud at you when they don't agree with you. I don't think she needs Valium. I don't think she needs to be any more docile and like, I think she needs what little cognitive ability that she has. Let's just say that. But yeah, big feelings. Abby cannot handle her big feelings. It's very sad.
I like you being mad. Don't worry though, I do know what it's like to lose. I know that it feels like the last hope for Palestinian liberation has been snuffed with the devastating loss of Stephen Bates. Whoever the fuck that was. If it's any consolation, at least you'll have the true spiritual backbone of your party to keep the torch flickering through these dark times. One of those old women with white hair who you just know has baseless RFKS views on health that comes free with literally every Greens party in the Anglosphere. Having members in the House isn't all it's cracked up to be anyway. The Democrats never won any seats in the House either. And look at them. Oh, the Greens are currently going through their version of a post-electoral review, which unlike other parties starts before the election every time because they're not tethered to reality. Yeah, we'll gain like 4 seats in Melbourne, 2 in Brisbane, 1 in Sydney, 1 in Perth, clean sweep of Canberra. Check this map out I made on mapchart.net. Mapchart? Obviously, Yamps.com is the far superior electoral map website. Then when it turned out they lost seats, much like the doomsday cults they clearly based their political movement on.
Oh,
jeez. They get Judgment Day wrong, just go into immediate embarrassing denial. No, it's actually fine because we got our highest vote ever. Geez, for a party that never shuts up about how much they hate Donald Trump, they sure love to copy him, saying what he said about his 2020 loss.
I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact,
I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
No, and that's not that difficult to do when the population keeps going up. In fact, it's even dumber for the Greens here because we've got compulsory voting. They might as well have written, the Greens secured more votes this election than Edmund Barton. You lost 3/4 of your lower house seats. Percentage-wise, your vote is down. This is a W to them. Internal review done, apparently. Okay, that was easy. Now that that's out of the way, it's time for Maxie's and Adam's farewell pity tour to explain to everyone how they were simultaneously victims and winners.
Can we go throw tomatoes at them? Actually, that's probably considered assault, isn't it? Can we just go yell at them that they look like they can't drive a forklift and they moisturize their hands? Disgusting behavior. They're so gross. They're so gross. They look so soft. They look like they have translucent skin. Like you know that their hands have never been calloused by hard labor ever. It's just so unattractive. Sorry, but like if you're a woman that's into those kind of soy boy guys, can you explain to me? Because I just love a grizzled man, you know? That's hot.
Even though both of them didn't win their seats, blaming preferential voting for their loss. The fact that their own vote went backwards by 3 and 5 points respectively, while Labor's went up by over 5 points, never came up in their explanations for some reason. That wasn't the reason they lost. No, it was that Labor was boosted by Liberal Party preferences. Liberal Party preferences, by the way, were fine last election when the Greens got in on Liberal Party preferences, but now that they flowed to Labor, ooh, Purple Party, they're all in it together to get me and just me. Look, that is barely an exaggeration of their argument. They have the mental framework of a 5-year-old. A system is awesome as long as it benefits them. As soon as that exact same system stops.
Yeah, the men that women are attracted to changes if they're on the pill. Women are more attracted to like effeminate little bitches when they're on the pill. And then when they have to like go off the pill to get pregnant, a lot of women find themselves no longer attracted to their husbands anymore. Imagine. Gosh. But yeah, I was kind of into like arty farty guys when I was on the pill for like, not for, maybe use of piss baby is more appropriate than soy boy. Maybe Dango. Maybe that is true. But I was on the pill when I was not a few years ago, but a while ago for like a medical reason. Like I had like a cyst on my ovary, so I had to like go on the pill. And yeah, I ended up dating like this like arty farty weird effeminate little artist dude, and it was, well, he wasn't little, he was like 6'4", but he was like one of those skinny jean wearing guys. And like now that I'm not on the pill, and he was an asshole too, he was like a social climbing asshole. Now that I'm not on the pill, I look back and I'm like, ew, disgusting behavior, absolutely feral. Not a good choice for me.
Benefiting them, it's a conspiracy against them. It's the strangest coincidence. Now, after years of cringy TikToks explaining to the public how preferential voting works, it's actually awesome thoughts. Now their supporters hate it again, like they did in the good old days, arguing that we should have proportional voting, even though we already have that in the Senate. But they want it in the lower house too, just to make 2 truly useless chambers where nothing gets done. Max on Hack being interviewed about his feelings. Honestly, that made me ashamed of my generation, because no other time...
That is so embarrassing. Keep that between you and your little counselor that we know you go to. We know you go to therapy like 3 times a week, Max, to talk about your big feelings. We all know you do. Absolute disgusting behavior. Go learn how to like change your own tire, change your own oil. Go like learn how to do some manly things, please. That's like... You're making my ovaries feel like they're full of sand when I look at you. Like, it's gross.
History, would that be remotely acceptable, that you could waste taxpayer money to literally air your grievances?
One of the things I'm quite happy about at the moment is I don't have to spend more time in the House of Representatives.
Oh, another thing, ladies, always remember this. I've noticed this. Weak chin, weak character. Say it with me. Weak chin, weak character. Okay.
because like basically every time I stood up, I got screamed and yelled at. Like, in terms of a workplace, it was bloody awful.
This guy?
Aww.
And I hear that yelling there because you should be ashamed of yourself. Because no, this party of the worker, this so.
He look at the way he gesticulates like a girl. Oh, little Maxie. And he's yelling and flapping his hands around like Supre ran out of extra small. Sit down, love. It's all right. Simmer down and settle pedal.
So-called party of the worker, really the party for bankers, is happy to make the vast majority of us wait.
Yeah, well, the Greens is the party of wankers. So what about that, Maxie? Sit down, love.
Forever, while banks only have to wait a day.
Oh, what a one-way street of bullying you had to endure, Max, in this place that everyone knows has just been this for the last 100 years.
That's it. Everyone shut the fuck.
Yeah, our parliament is known internationally for being unhinged. Like, I went to visit some people in the UK, and one of the first things they asked me was like, whoa, we've seen your parliament on TV. Is it really like that? And I'm like, yeah, everywhere in Australia is like that. People just say whatever the fuck they want. You gotta have a thick skin, man. You gotta have a thick skin. You gotta be able to take a joke, and if you can dish it out, you gotta be able to take it. Otherwise, you know, I don't know, stay home and cry.
Up! Member of Bullawang has the call. Right.
This is accurate. Especially the kangaroo in the back.
Seriously, he's finally
Fuck
parting
you,
words
you
as though he's
fucking
totally
dickhead.
not mad that he's lost his seat is, I just can't believe that place would do that to me. I thought I could do that to them. What a sook. If they do end up doing an honest post-election review, I'm guessing blocking homes for homeless people for a year and a half is a self-admitted political tactic. Read it. That's him gloating about fucking over struggling people to force a discussion, which, sorry.
Yeah, because like all Greens voters, he's from an upper middle class family and he doesn't know what it's like to struggle. Shut up. Shut up and sit down. Shut your mouth.
One more time. Oh, how did that strategy work out for you, Betsy boy? Now
Eat poo, you poo head.
No reflection from Adam either. Band 730 report post-electoral autopsy was basically Sarah Ferguson asking, like a broken vending machine, can you reflect on why you think you lost? And he can't, apparently. He's a vampire. No reflection at all. Just rattling off the same talking points that led to his loss. It was just two broken machines malfunctioning in front of each other for 10 minutes. The new leader immediately claiming, I'm not Adam Band, and then going on to explain exactly how she's Adam Band.
Now the Labor Party have a choice. They can work with us.
Not only is she Adam Band, she's also Canadian. Remember when there was like the constitutional hoo-ha? I think is it Section 61 of the Australian Constitution where you can't hold dual citizenship and sit in federal parliament. She was born in Canada. She's Canadian. Disgusting behavior. Absolutely disgusting.
Can work with us and help.
Go back to Canada.
Protect nature, or they can choose to work with the coalition. They're going to need to pick because they don't have the numbers in the Senate to pass the legislation that they want to work on.
Claiming his
Find a doctor that takes moles from off faces under Medicare and get that mole taken off your face, love. A mole with a mole. Well, that's what you are, love.
Australia has given them, quote, a strong Senate vote and a mandate to hold Labor to account. This was the final cope they settled on, that because of their runaway popularity.
You can tell I'm PMSing. I'm being so mean tonight. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sick and I'm tired and my tummy hurts. I'm just taking it out on the world. I'm sorry.
Clarity of not gaining a single seat and losing 3/4 of theirs in the lower house. They alone hold the balance of power in the Senate. Again, choosing to negate that the reason that they do is because Labor did so well that they reduced the rest of the crossbench to not even a bench. The few nobodies remaining will have the most boring, irrelevant 3 years of their lives. So I would suggest to David Pocock, go back to your footy roots, kick the rugby ball around the Parliament lawn, but he's got no one left to kick it to. In short, Greens, this isn't a mandate.
The Wallabies were so shit under David Pocock. Absolute shit. Like, I don't watch rugby union, but my dad does. He doesn't go for Australia because he's an arsehole. He just likes to rev everyone up in the house up about it. But yeah. Just as a side note, David Pocock, you were a shit Wallabies captain, and that's all I have to say. Disgusting behaviour.
Hey, you just survived the purge, unfortunately. And look, to any Green supporters still watching, have a think about what loudly blocking bills in the Senate actually accomplished other than making you feel like you're morally superior for keeping homeless people homeless somehow. If you go beyond the stock standard response of the Greens blocked legislation because it was shit, have a think about who told you it was shit. Was it the Greens? The Australia Institute? Gee, I wonder if they'd have any vested interest in saying that. More importantly, did the strategy of having months-long obstructionist public spats over adding piddly face-saving amendments to critical legislation where the party had to back down multiple times and had to actively lie about the piddly little amendments they got through, like, we got $3.5 billion for public housing. They're lying about $2 billion of that was fucking up construction contracts and delaying homes for tens of thousands of people, really worth a token $1.5 billion of unspecified spending that'll theoretically lead to more housing? I'll answer for you. No, especially when they got it by blocking almost $32 billion Labor ended up spending on housing for years. Forget it. The fact that the Greens, as a party, are either stupid enough not to understand that, or worse, like Max, do understand it and don't care. They only care that blocking vital legislation revs up their base, which is hipster MAGA. This is something I want to stress though. I'm sure a lot of people voted for the Greens because they felt like it was the right thing to do. I mean, that is their branding, but that's all that movement is. Branding. It's a lot of TikToks and carefully curated articles aimed at getting you riled up at what a shit job the government is doing.
It's nothing of substance, and they offer nothing of value. Absolutely nothing. Just vote for Labor. Like, no political party is perfect. No movement is perfect. People are imperfect by our nature. You know, ideas can be perfect, but people aren't. And don't let perfect be the enemy of good. The Greens can only offer you pipe dreams, which are literally unachievable, unattainable. There is no way to bring about any of those into the physical world. I know all those Green voters believe in manifestation, but you ain't manifesting freaking impossible fairy dreams. It's just not happening. Section 44 of the Constitution. Yeah, I get it. I get all of them mixed up. I'm brain dead. Just leave me alone.
Doing while actively hiding anything good the government does. If all I wanted was clicks, it's exactly what I'd be doing too. It's easy, but it's also scummy. It's dishonest. I mean, the amount of people who thought Labor's final housing announcement was the only thing that they were doing about housing. How do you think they got to that conclusion? If you support the Greens, I know I've been taking a lot of shots at them in this video, but
yeah, the Greens are just muddying the waters to confuse people and making it see. The other thing they do is they take credit. I saw all these ads running where they were literally taking credit for Labor's policies, saying, we did this, we did that. I'm like, who's we, you dickheads? Piss off.
But seriously, the entire point of that party, their entire existence, depends on pretending everything's always shit endlessly. And that means they will and do destroy really important progress. Progress that is always hidden from you, as who else in the country, old or new media, ever reports on anything good the government does. Anyway, to quote a great man that's clearly not insane, I ain't spending any more time on it, in this video at least.
Oh, I love Bob Catter when he started going on about all the Australians that get eaten by crocodiles. Oh, I love him. I love him so much. Oh, I love you.
Supporters, I'll have more olive branches and more olive sticks to drub you with. The Liberal Review. I think you could sum up theirs in a single sentence. Rename your party Spank Force. I'm not kidding either. I seriously think the Liberal Party might actually be done. I think they've got maybe one turn to turn it around under the visionary leadership of Susan Lee and... Oh, sorry, I forgot Angus is still in the party. 3 months. You have to understand, Labor can be reduced to a fucking life of pie raft of MPs like they were in Queensland and come back, but that's because there's a little more holding the Labor movement together than pure self-interest. There's no true believers in the coalition. I'm convinced the reason they're called the coalition is because they're a coalition of cockheads, and if the brand doesn't suit their personal ambitions
they are
anymore,
indeed.
They will change in a second, as proven by 2 of their most prominent remaining names left. Immediately right after
off to the election, not remaining. I'm going to try and get a better seat on the Titanic, and no, I didn't even get that. I think we only think, no, the Liberal Party's always going to be around because it's been around as long as I was conscious, and anything before that didn't happen. But it did. 1943, the United Australia Party. The actual one, not the Clive Palmer one. Fuck, he loves bringing back dinosaurs, hey? But Robert Menzies, after living every rich kid's gap year fantasy of finding himself in London, spent so much time there that his own party got pissed off at him and forced him to resign. Their election campaign was dead on arrival because the UAP just couldn't work with their coalition partners, the Country Party. They didn't have any policies to sell the public, so they just ran the scare campaign of Labor can't govern. Hey. Some things never go out of style, eh? Losing the 1943 election essentially killed off the UAP as a political party. Listen to this quote from Menzies himself. The name United Australia Party has fallen into complete disregard. It no longer means anything. Many of my own stronger supporters in my own electorate declined to have anything to do with the party as such. To establish a new party under a new name, it is, I think, essential to recognise that the new groups and movements which sprang up in the 6 months before the election were all expressions of dissatisfaction with the existing setup. Doesn't that all sound a bit too familiar to the Liberal Party now? I'm not a betting man. Well, I am, and I'm terrible at it, so I'm probably wrong. But seeing as that could have been written last week, if anyone in the Liberal Party had even half the foresight of Menzies, does anyone really think any of these issues are going to be fixed before the next election? Like, at least Menzies had Murdoch, Packer, and the rest of the Australian elite backing and bankrolling his new party. They're not doing that now. Which leads to review of party number 4, the Teals. Major dot point, drop the I'm an independent charade.
Yeah, just a bunch of weird rich ladies from rich suburbs who are totally just tree Tories. They're just tree Tories. They like the Greens' environmental policies, but they like the Liberals' rich dickhead policies. The perfect combination of wankerism coming together to create the monster I call Wankatron.
Call yourself the TED Talk Party. This is what half the media class sees the future. Cause if there's one thing Australians outside the most affluential, removed electorates in the country like, it's snobs. That's not even a joke. Every time I talk about the Teals, I receive a lot of shit from people who keep saying some variation of, why do you shit on the independents? Labor's just like Liberal Light. The party that blatantly advertises that they're Liberal Light, they're not Liberal Light for some reason. What? It's astonishing to me how anyone could be stupid enough to fall for such an obvious ruse. They must be the same people that when British Petroleum changed after one too many oil spills. No, the sign changed to a BP. It's a different gas station, my dude. Do you even know what the Teals are? They're what used to be known as the wet faction of the Liberals, which basically means the unlikable pussy faction as opposed to the funny dumbass faction. Let's have a look at the so-called independents. Di Lee, former Liberal member and New South Wales Liberal candidate. Allegra Spender.
Cabramatta. Represent, bro.
MP Percy Spender. But no, unlike everyone else on planet Earth, she's not captive to the same Freudian and environmental circumstances we all have. She's her own woman. Kate Chaney, granddaughter of former Liberal
girlfriend,
MP Fred
girl
Chaney,
boss.
former Liberal MP Fred Chaney. Fuck, what a confusing sentence. The sugar daddy nepo baby behind these independents, Simon Holmes, a court. Key fundraiser for Josh Frydenberg that is such a nasty...
What a weird shaped head. Look at this noggin. Jeez, what's going on, mate?
He decided to start his own Liberal Party, basically because he got kicked out of a Liberal Party fundraiser for being allowed. These are just Liberals that started to feel embarrassed for supporting the Liberals at charity dinners. That's all. It's not new either. The Democrats were created as a merger of splinter groups from the Liberal Party, led by disaffected Liberal MP Don Chipp. Same thing, oh, we need a new style of politics. It wasn't. In fact, I think the only reason they are independents now is because the Democrats' name is already sullied, and that would eat at them too, because I can guarantee you every last one of them, when they're making a speech in Parliament, they're larping as Hillary Clinton in their heads. I mean, all that said though, does make the Liberals weaker. I'll take divided cockheads over united cockheads any day. This is why I think they're fucked though. They're all too self-absorbed to put aside their differences to keep the dirty workers away from pulling the levers, and I couldn't be happier. So keep living in your self-constructed silos based purely on the aesthetic you personally want the Liberals to look like. For everyone else, just know, even if the opera lovers triumph over the mining executives and the Liberal Party does become the TED Talk Party, it'll just become the new non-Labor Party. That's all. It's the same game. It's always the same game. It'll never be the same game. There's the Labor Party and the not Labor Party. And there you have it. My dissection of where the major parties stand after what was probably the most consequential election of the last 20
Maybe we can get Dion Lee to make Geordie's a new Australia jacket, because I hear he's got a lot of free time. And that's not a dig at Dion Lee. I'm sorry, whoever managed your label run it into the ground. But he made some really nice, like, gothy clothes. Way out of my price range. I would love, like, one of those, like, black corset tops. Oh, beautiful. But yeah, maybe ask Dion Lee to make you a blazer with a 7-pointed star, because I don't know, it's hurting my autism. I don't know if I have autism. I mean, it's possible, but
20 years. Why? Well, as Ross Garneau, the architect of Labor's climate policy, pointed out, this is the public saying, we get it. We get that the last 15 years was us being duped by the Liberals and Greens into stalling on climate action. That's a generation of time that was wasted, that we could have had Labor doing exactly what it's doing now, which is making us a green tech superpower. See this video here. What a shame. What a tragedy that all that time was completely sunk. But second best time to plant a tree is today and all that. What I'm particularly happy about is, looks like Albo got the chance to do what Labor has only ever been afforded once before in this Federation's entire history, a decade of red. Last time we had that with Hawke and Keating, we were able to fatten the pig
oh yeah,
so much
baby,
that we're
let's
basically living off that fat for the
go.
next 4 decades. We'll do an explainer on why that is soon, but in the meantime, buy a shirt, final review, sucked into everyone that is...
Yeah, sucked in, bitches. Let's go. All right, I ended up going for 2 hours and 40 minutes despite feeling like shit. Kind of been a bit sniffy tonight, kind of in a lot of pain, kind of PMSing, kind of not having a great time. But thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. See you next time. Bye. Bye, Hyperbovian. Bye, Dango.